Hello, hello. Come on. How is everybody? The 0 people that are here right now. I didn't schedule this. I just decided like a couple hours ago that I would go live. So I am just messing about today. I was messing around with my flying geese design. Made one of these. So I got that going on. That's the fun thing for there. Gotta get that out of the way. So I got that happening. So basically I have my flying geese design, learning how to use that, which is nice. I didn't give myself enough edging. There's a small spot right there where the seam is already popped on it, which is no big deal. I wasn't trying very hard. But yeah, now that I've got the precision pieces, I can put more energy into practicing how to get this to go right. I like how it turned out, so I'm happy with it. Anyway. Oh, look, I have a small seam pop in the corner. Yeah, that was 100% distraction and user error, because as I was getting to the edges, I went too close to the edges. I knew I was probably going to pop a couple of seams, but I still wanted to finish it and see how it was going to turn out. But anyway, I am literally just hanging out today, not doing much of anything important. I thought I'd turn on the camera. Where is it? I guess it's that one. What's that one? That's the one I want. Thought I'd turn on the camera to keep myself company. I am literally just trimming, flipping, and top stitching. I have an entire process that I do for that. So I'm also overdue on changing my cutting blades. So I'm going to do that too. Always make sure always make sure that when you're handling these, you remember that they are as sharp as razor blades. But they're actually really easy to work with. So, hi, whoever just showed up. Hope I'm not 100% by myself today. And I have to ditch this. I'll be right back. So yeah, I've already basted my nice fabric with my broadcloth, and I get to be careful how I trim this. I'm just turning on the camera. If people show up, I can chat. If people don't show up, I can work. But I thought, what the hell? Let's just turn on the camera today. Talk about any subject that crosses anybody's mind, and go from there. Otherwise, it's going to be a pretty chill. It's going to be a pretty chill afternoon for me, just getting some stuff done. So I went through a bunch of my fabric that I've got like only small amounts left, and chopped all that up. Some of it's in small, some standard, some large, some like this one here. I think there's some there for standards. I don't think I had enough. I think I had enough for small and standards. I don't think I had enough for everything. But when you're sewing in bulk, when you're sewing in batches, like this, you end up with giant stacks of fabric that you got to do something with. So what I'm doing right now is pretty simple, because I usually do it a little bit differently. I usually do it a little bit differently. I'm just trying not to stress out my hand. I got a bit of carpal tunnel, tendonitis. But it's in the same spot. It's in the same carpal tunnel spot. Hey, Stevie, how you doing? Hey, are you still on vacation? How's your vacation going? I am literally just hanging around doing nothing today. Well, not doing nothing. I'm not doing anything special. I am making some small drawstring bags. Ooh, nice. Yeah, I'm just making some I'm making small drawstring bags this week. I want to get a batch. I want to get something done because I've got the rest of the dies for my fabric cutter for my AccuQuilt. They should be showing up on Thursday. So this coming weekend, I'm probably going to try and get a bunch of scrap and batik processed into strips and whatever, and do my thing. But I'm going to put that one there for now. I do this as a system, and I screwed it up. I screwed up my system. Because I screwed up my system. Usually what I do is I sort it by what color top stitching thread I'm going to want to use. And then if I have these two are the same. So I may have these two, but then I probably got other stuff in there that I can do the exact same top stitch thread on. What do I got? I'll sort that out in a minute. I'm literally just sitting down now. It's like I decided a while ago. It's like I'll do a live today, so I've got people to hang out with, and I've got a reason to. I can talk. I can talk to myself and tell myself I'm talking to people, basically. But this isn't the boring part. This is the crank up your tunes. Oh, come on, what's going on? I got a frayed thread here, but it's just. So I'm getting my AccuQuilt. I'm getting the rest of my AccuQuilt dies. If they're on time, it'll be by Thursday. So I'm really making sure I save all this stuff. So how's your vacation going? I'm babbling. I'm going to babble back and forth today. This is what happens when I'm doing the mindless part of this job. It's like, oh, I can't keep track of anything for more than 4 seconds. Yeah, I saw your post showing your flight, and it's like, oh yeah, that's a nice little puddle jumper flight. Get out of town, get out of town, get somewhere completely different and fun, and still feel like you're not halfway around the world from home. I just changed that blade, so I got to remember to be careful with it. It's really easy. Once the blade starts getting a little bit dull, it gets really easy to be a little careless with these blades. So that's a thing. So anyway, I forgot to sort my fabric, so I get to stop and do that first. That is its own little. It's not. It only takes a couple of minutes, but the constant changing of thread can just start to feel tedious after a while. Oh, nice. The nice chill couple of days. And how are you and Amelia feeling? I noticed that she was very, very good at sharing with you. I'm assuming she's feeling better because she got sick just before you. I'm hoping that you're feeling better too. Hi, Tammy. So I have to backtrack. If I realize I've made a mistake, this is not a mistake. It's just a convenience thing that I do. I don't have to fix this, but I've got this much to do today. I got to stack that thick. So if I sort it, and I take my dark blues, my lighter colors, reds. I haven't decided. I think I'll do that one in a purple. Reds. This is also reds. Right? Put those there. I can do this as black or orange. Oh, good. Yeah, I wouldn't. Okay, I've only ever been on one flight in my entire life, but I will say that I don't think I would want to be on a flight while I was sick. That would not make me feel good about life. So I'm just sorting by color right now. I'll sort by color, but yeah, see now this one here and this one here, it doesn't look like it, but I can do these with the same thread because this has got dark. They both got the same shades of purple in it. So I'm going to put that in the purple pile. That's going to go with that one. But this is a different shade of purple. So that's going to go in its own pile. This doesn't really take that long. That's the darker. It can go that. One thing to remember too is that one shade of a color when it comes to the thread can usually cover several different complementary shades of a something else. Where's my blues? Another pile, dark blue, light blue, right? Orange. I know I have an orange. Where's the flaming? Oh, there's this can probably take the same. There's two different ones here. One tighter, one looser. Stevie's on vacation. Stevie's on vacation right now. That's going to go there. That's the darker blue. And once I get these sorted out, once I'm ready to sew, if I decide, oh, they're not quite close enough and I don't want to, it's a lot easier to sort from the blues versus the entire pile. Yeah, this can go in the dark blues. That's dark blues. Anyway, I got a lot of, these are all small bags today. That, I'm going to put it in the purple pile, but I'm probably not going to keep it. I'm probably going to grab a different purple for that. Light blue. There's my light blue. Yeah, these two are not compatible. That's okay. Purple. Pre-sorting does not lock you into having to use certain things, but it definitely makes life a little easier. This, I accidentally cut this twice. This is Alice in Wonderland here. Oh yeah, I'm up to my tits in fabric. It is, oh my God. This is dark blue. Look at that. Josephine Wall, Angels. I forgot to pre-sort my fabric. Oh yeah, and I did it here too. I had an extra piece of fabric, so I've got to get that. Again, it's easier to resort and rearrange from the smaller pile than from the bigger pile. So yeah, I was just showing this. I got playing with those flying geese. I got playing with all those blocks that I cut last week, and I made this, which I'm really happy with. Hi, Discordia. I'm really happy with how this turned out. Now I can definitely pick this apart and nitpick it. Like that comes to the proper point. That's not a proper point, and that's perfectly fine. So I'm well into my learning curve, and I'm well into my learning curve. I'm already happy with the results. So it's going to be a lot of fun to build that up. This is black. That is black. That I'm going to do in black because it's got a black background. I'm almost done. I'm almost done sorting, and then I can actually get to working. Orange again. Where's my flames? This is orange, but it's darker, so I probably will end up using a different color. Green. Okay, there we go. And then you just restack it. I always do the black last. Not for any particular reason not for any particular reason around things that I have to do, but once anything that I'm top stitching. Oh yeah, no, I'm not picking it apart. I'm not picking it apart because I hate it. I actually really, really love it. But yeah, oh no, I'm not organized. I'm mildly organized. I'm not picking this apart in any bad way. I've never done flying geese before, right? So I've never done flying geese before. I definitely want to make sure that I'm on a path to improvement. So being aware, here's the thing, I can suck at something and not feel the least bit bad about it. So this turned out really well. I really like it. Being aware of, okay, I can improve that. I don't need to work on that. Oh, this worked out. Like, okay, like these points are all perfect. These points are all perfect. Even the ones that don't look perfect, because what I did was I got into a bit of a hurry on the ironing and just didn't roll it back all the way. It's like, okay, nothing wrong with that. Hey, Elaine, Eleanor, sorry. I can't, trying to read at a glance. I am really happy with how this turned out. And this is probably the biggest project I've made so far using precision cutting pieces. So I am off to an amazing start. I'm very happy with how that turned out. Okay, I've got my dark blue and my light blue. Still not quite sure what I'm going to do with that. This is a dark blue, so I'll put it there. I'll put my light blues here. I'm probably going to end up using 3 or 4 shades of blue. There's my oranges. I already have the purple over there because I already started with that. That's the reds. Anyway, it's exciting watching me get excited about something. That's for me what it is. I was thinking about this the other day. I made some sort of a comment. Lisa noticed a comment, and I'm saying it all ass backwards. Lisa and I ended up having one of those, you know how you spend enough time around somebody like your wife, you start ending up having little conversations. Oh, hey, this came up. This, I noticed this, blah, 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 blah. And so these two are ready to go. That goes over there. This comes down here. And I can continue. So it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long to pre-sort your fabric, but it makes a big difference. So, and we were talking, and we were talking. I forget exactly what we were talking about because God knows I don't remember shit on a good day. But no, it's like one of those things. It's like being able to say, I screwed this up. I need to do better at this. I need to do better at that. There's 2 different flavors of that. There's the I'm shitting on myself, right? And I'm not shitting on myself when I take a look at that and go, oh yeah, here's a couple of mistakes I made, because I don't care if I made mistakes. I really don't. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying it. I would prefer to improve. So noticing areas where I can improve is not being mean to myself. And it's one of those things. We have this thing. It's like you are perfect just the way you are, which you are. And this is perfect just the way it is, which it is. And there's still nothing wrong with going, this is perfect. This is great. This is awesome. And I'm really excited about it. I'd love to improve, because why not? Right? If that's the best I can ever do when it comes to working with that type of stuff, that's fine too. That's absolutely fine by me. I am not concerned one way or the other. But yeah, I used my die cutter, got my flying geese, put them all together, and Lisa, okay, my test is always like, hand it to somebody. Lisa didn't notice a single thing until I said, yep, these are the areas I'm trying to improve, because I don't think I've got a big learning curve ahead of me, which is, you know what, it's kind of like tarot, right? You get out your tarot decks and you're doing your stuff and you're going, okay, I want to do blah with tarot. If you're already decent, if you already feel like you're decent and comfortable and happy with what you're doing, you're not looking at it as this big, oh my God, I suck at tarot. You're like, oh, I'm aware of my learning curve and what I'm taking on. So that's where I'm at. Anyway, I don't know. I'm a big advocate of that's how you should approach life in general. So that's probably why I talk about it way too much. 1 sec. 20 minutes. $20 on the dot. Hey, guy, I hope you don't mind my asking if this is already noted somewhere on your YouTube or Etsy. I apologize, but you take commissions, customs for bags. I do, but I don't. I definitely do custom orders when and where I'm available for it. But yeah, I'm off. You know what it is? Okay, biology 101. As you're talking, you're not aggravating, but as you're talking, as you move your mouth talking and your jaw is moving, then everything that's connected to your sinuses is also like jiggling and jostling around a bit in there, right? So after 20 minutes, if you're going to need to, so basically, if you're going to do something where you know you're not going to have an opportunity to go do whatever, make sure you chat with somebody for about 20 minutes before you get up and turn on a fucking camera and get on camera. Reading cloths, especially. Most of the time when I'm putting a reading cloth up, it's about a 15 by 15 because I have to guess up, people have different size, space, whatever requirements, right? So for a reading cloth, I'm happy to do it. I can go as high as about, once I get above, say 30 by 30 inches, it starts getting a little unwieldy. But I can go as high as 40 inches. Because with the bags, it's really easy. Tarot stuff comes in about 3 basic sizes. So with that in mind, most people, very few people are going to want a particular size on a tarot bag. I don't really do that. I don't really do that because for the most part, it doesn't work out. Most of my requests for tarot stuff is fabrics. Oh, hey Peggy, I saw this fabric. Can you do it in a large? Yeah, if I got the fabric, sure. I'll do it. I'll throw it on the pile and do it next time, right? But for reading cloths, specific custom sizing is something that I definitely am willing to do because I have to guess what everybody else likes. So that's its own thing. But yeah, my cutter should be coming. I don't know. Now I have to be careful with my. Okay, that's a darker purple. That's the same size. That's the same color. See, so I'm still sorting as I go, but now I don't have to dig through the entire pile. Oh my God, what did I just do? There it is. I just set it down, drew all that fabric over it. I got a lot of cutoffs at the end of these. There's several ways to cut fabric depending on how the fabric is oriented and like which way is up, down. Like this is I'll flip this over and I'll show you. This is a multi-directional fabric. Whatever direction it is doesn't matter. Whereas some of these fabrics, the direction matters. So how you have to cut it. But for this, I went through my stash. That one back there. I went through that and started pulling out some of my smaller pieces. And getting them ready. It's like I've got all these smaller pieces getting in the way. Not in a bad way. They're getting in the way of me sorting out how much fabric I really do and don't have, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I'll see, oh, I've got this fabric, and then I've got half a bolt of something else. But because it's this kind of a bit of mess over there, I can't tell which one's the bigger amount. I can't tell. Do I have a lot of this? No, not really. So anyway, I pulled out a bunch of my smaller fabric. Oops, that's the other purple. That goes there. I missed one. I missed me a purple. So I can just go there for now. I went through and took out a lot of my stuff that I've got smaller amounts of and cut it all up. But what I did was, as I'm cutting for this size, I'm also cutting for the standard size. I didn't cut for minis. It's minis. It's always easy to get fabric for minis. I can get fabrics for minis from damn near anything. So I don't necessarily prioritize those, but I pulled out all these smaller pieces and cut them up for small, standard, and large bags. So I got mostly small, because if I have a certain amount of fabric, it's like, okay, is that gonna, how many small, if I can get like I could get 2 smalls and a standard out of a piece of fabric. So that's just what I did. Or I could get 2 larges and a small or whatever. So yeah, I've got some, that's not a significant pile actually. I've got a significant pile. I've got a significant pile here. That's my pile. There it is. That's my pile of standard. That's coming. I don't know when that's coming. I don't know how that's going to work. I do not know how that's going to work for me because I've got my fabric. I've got the machine. I've got the AccuQuilt. I've got the machine. I've got the dye for the flying geese. That's what I've been playing with this week. So I've got that. I've got all the other dyes. I was showing you guys those dyes, the long strips, the octagon, the hexagon pieces. I've got all that coming in. And I think I'm going to spend the next 2 or 3 days processing out as much of my scrap as I can. There's a quilt project I want to do that requires 2.5-inch strips. It requires 2.5 and 1.5-inch strips. So that's going to be fun. Okay, that's fun when you don't. That's fun when you can focus on sewing and not have to worry about spending half of your time just cutting your fabric, measuring and cutting your fabric. This I'll just be able to take my fabric and go, doop, that fits. Run it through the machine. Whereas to do it by hand, when you're processing out scrap, you got to go, okay, that is this piece, that's this long, this long. Do I have enough for this? Well, I want 2 pieces. Do I have enough for 2? It's a lot of organizing and arranging. So anyway, I'm just going to do these ones first. Sometimes what I do is I will sew as I go, which I'm not doing today. But I'm saving all my scrap. I've got one that's going to do one of my dyes. I think I have to double check, but I think one of my dyes does like 2.5-inch squares. It's like, oh, I could start working some. One of the reasons why I haven't really been working with the tiny squares is because it's not because, but like right now I'm dealing with a bit of are those going to be Taro spread bags? Yeah, these are going to be the small drawstring bags. These are all small drawstring bags. This doesn't look like it yet. You'll see. Basically, you just take your fabric, put it onto your backing, onto your broadcloth. I'll be finishing these in just a second. I'll move the camera over. But yeah, so I got a little tiny bit of tendonitis happening. It's not a big deal. Here's the catch-22 of my life. Whenever I get a little bit of tendonitis that flares up from time to time, no big deal. But to cut, you hold it in the right, you hold your cutter in the right hand, you hold your ruler in the left hand, right? Then you have to hold everything still, which aggravates this. So taking a break to cut fabric means if my cut is a little bit wobbly right now, it doesn't matter. If the cut's a little, okay, as long as my cut doesn't wobble so far back that I'm cutting into this seam, as long as I don't, does that make sense? So one of the problems I've been having, and I don't know what kind of, putting in the drawstrings. The drawstrings are actually hard for me because again, it aggravates my tendonitis. My tendonitis isn't it can be a huge deal if I don't pay attention, right? But like when you're cutting fabric, if you're trying to cut fabric and you're trying to cut precision, and when your hand is fatigued for any reason, whatever's going on, right? You're less precise because you're starting to cut. Don't worry, the blade's up. When you're starting to cut, and then the ruler shifts a little bit while you're cutting, or you accidentally push against it, and now you've got this little 2-inch square that's off by 1/8 of an inch. Now, if this is off by 1/8 of an inch, nobody's going to notice. It's huge. It's comparatively huge. If a 2-inch square is off by 1/8 of an inch, it can fuck up your entire square. So this is going to be a lot. This is going to be a lot of fun for me for a lot of reasons. Between trying to find the time, precision cutting takes longer than the way I do it, and trying to find the time to do the cutting, And then if I'm focusing on that because I'm trying to give my hand a break, I'm not giving my hand a break if I'm doing it by hand. It's a catch-22. And it's a fun toy. The drawstrings are actually pretty easy to go in. The drawstrings aren't that big of a problem. The hardest part for me is that I do these 50 or 60 at a time. Right? It's like, oh my God. But no, the bag itself is actually not hard, not difficult at all. They're pretty simple. That's why when I'm doing just this, where did I put this before? Oh yeah, that's all. I am going out of my way to save my scrap so I can put it in my new machine. But anyway, no, I mean, I feel like I'm justifying or explaining, and I'm not really. It's gonna be a time saving little toy. It's gonna give me the precision I want. I commented on this when I was showing it off when I first got it. It's going to be a time-saving little toy, but it's also going to let me cut precision because the last thing you want, okay, like I showed you guys that. It's like, okay, it's got a couple things I want to improve on, right? No problem there. But if the reason why it needs improving is because you were a little careless in your cutting, then you got two problems to solve. And you might not know the difference, which is which, right? So I'm very happy to have my new machine. Plus, cutting takes time. It's like cutting takes time. I want to cut down my cutting time because I don't always have a lot of time for the extra sewing that I want to do. So there's that. There's always that. There's always things. I gotta change my thread. We're gonna go over here now. There's my computer. There's my computer, my microphone. But yeah. What color thread do I want? That'll work. It takes like no time at all to change thread, but it feels like it. So what's everybody else doing? We finally, I didn't show up on Friday. I was not in on Friday with a paranormal chat because, oh shit, I gotta do a bunch of stuff right now. We've been dealing with the heat wave here all week and it finally broke. So when do you think Lisa might do another Sparks Creations walkthrough show? I don't know. Now that I can just do that here. I got to do a couple things before I can start. Okay, basically, when I've got a big batch of basting to do, I will throw on my walking foot, which I've got on right now. I'm doing two things at once here. I'm gonna get the walking foot off. The walking foot lets you do quicker, more efficient, straight stitching. But you cannot use a walking foot. Come on. I am lazy in this reverse kind of way, and I don't like to take this particular. If I take this, there's a screw right here. If I take the screw all the way out, it just pops off. But it can be. What's going on? What are you sticking to? There we go. We'll just set that over there for now. We'll set over there for a minute because I'm doing two things at once. Taking that guy off. Taking that guy off. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see much, but this needs to be cleaned. I'll be right back. I got to go get my oil. Anyway, I did not do a paranormal ponderings chat on Friday because our heat wave finally broke. When I prep my fabric, I have to iron it all. So I have not done anything all week. Basically, all I'm doing here, I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing over here. I'm over here. I'm just turning this very, very slowly. I'm turning this slowly, and I'm just using, this is just an old cheap, this is just an old cheap paintbrush. And I'm just taking the dust out. I just kind of, instead of poking around, I just turn this as I go. And just get that dust out. It's everywhere. Like, I mean, you could just dust the whole thing. But that's just the cost of doing business. Where did I put it? There. Amazon. Yeah, I don't know if you're seeing it, but there's dust flying everywhere. I like to get the worst of the dust out first. I like to get out the worst of the dust and then blow it, because if you just, okay, for me, I'm mildly allergic to dust. If you just blast it, you're in for trouble. Second piece is to just take this, just dust it lightly front and back. I like to do this because then you can just do a really soft touch. Don't dig at it. There are little teeny tiny springs in here. Hi, Kaz. There's little teeny tiny springs in here that you could end up breaking if you're too careless. So just be careful with that. So, and then you just double check. Like, there's a big glob of dust sitting there that obviously blew up into there from something else. This machine is I love this machine. This is technically, if they said you're only allowed to have one sewing machine, this is the one I'd actually pick. But yeah, it's more, okay, the amount of dust that I'm pulling out is normal, especially for the amount of sewing that I do. But this machine is more sensitive to dust. So if it starts to get too dusty, like if it starts to get too dusty inside, then my decorative stitching, if you've ever tried to do decorative stitching, it's going doing, and then one's a little off and stuff like that. The dust can make it, the dusting and oiling makes a big difference on that. So in the middle of, this has a hole in it. See that hole right there? That hole lines up with the middle right there. And in that hole, if you're not paying attention, in that hole, it looks like there's a blob of lint. It's not lint, it's a sponge. Machines that, if your machine does not have a hole here, then do not do this. Obviously, check your manual, but you just get a drop of oil, a drop of sewing machine oil, and put it on that sponge. That gets that done. Show you guys a quick little trick though. I'm not going to clean the upper today because I don't need to. Come on. There's a bubble. It's got a little bubble. You can ignore it. So you pop that guy back in. If you need to, don't go crazy. But if you need to, and it's not quite doing what you want, just giving it a little wiggle, Just a little wiggle can help you wiggle it in place. You do not want to wiggle. You don't want to wiggle it from here. It gets weird. But the other tip, and you can do it one of two ways. You can either get a clean paintbrush or just be really, really careful. But that section there where this piece of plastic, and I'm not on a camera that can get me much closer, where the plastic of this meets the metal of the top of that, very carefully put in a tiny drop. You'll learn how to do tiny drops and oil it. You want to be really careful. It's really, really easy to get way too much oil on that. So that's why I recommend, if you're not sure, you just put a little bit of oil on a paintbrush so that you can control. And then just get a little bit of oil into that gap. Of course, then you just get a little bit distracted. There you go. Just run it. Just turn it. You can. I mean, if some machines will not operate. Some like my Janome. If this covers off, I can't make it run without this cover on. Right. That's it. So that will help that stay. That will help that move more smoothly. And again, when you're ready for decorative stitching, you want this to be moving smoothly with no hiccups. Technically, the needle should be off. Technically, you should take the needle off when you're cleaning, but I'm lazy and I do this all the time. So the other part that you want to do, this whole assembly that has the needle on it, right? Needle goes all the way down, just the tiniest drop of oil. And again, you will learn how to make big and small drops happen. A little bit of oil, because that's going through, there's holders up inside. So that's just making sure that moves smoothly. See how quiet that is? Come on. I know you don't want to do it. There we go. That's quiet compared to what it was earlier this morning. Or was it yesterday? Anyway, make sure your needle's up before you put your thing back in. I should have done this before I even turned the camera on today. I knew I was going to have to do it. By the way, if you just kind of run your finger around the outside edge of these screws, you can get them partway down on your own before you have to go back in and tighten them. This is probably the most awkward part. So yeah, you just get in there, tighten it. Once you feel that little bit of resistance, a little, tiny bit, a little. Don't go crazy. You do not need to go crazy. It needs, if it's not tight enough, the screws can shake themselves loose. A little tight, because you don't want it so tight that you can't get it back off again. And then you're done. And like I said, I was changing out my walking foot at the same time. So, whoops, put that away. Sometimes depending on your foot can sometimes have some wiggle room. So to make sure that it's properly seated at the back here, if you just lift the front and just stick your fingertip in there as you're finishing tightening it, that way you're sure that it's in the right spot. Now I didn't screw up in any way that matters, but I should have done this before starting, so I just got to get there's a little bit of dust that blew back onto this, and I got to get that off. Lint brush is your best friend when you're sewing, honestly. With luck, you'll rarely, if ever, need it. But if you need it, then you're not going to agonize. Bring it back. I got to put my oil away. There we go. My sewing area here is fairly compact, and I don't have a lot of extra space. So I keep my oil in a different room because it's got an interior tube. The oil because I have to oil my machines a lot. So the one, it has like an interior tube. You ever do something that has oil and you find that the oil is like leaching out here and there and everywhere, right? Well, if I get a little bit of oil on these fabrics, I have to throw them away. You're not going to get that out of your fabric. So I store my oil as far away from my fabric as I can get it, which in my case is I keep it on the back counter in the kitchen. Just keep it away from me. Get that shit away. Okay. Okay, as always. Okay, this machine's a little different. This machine does not, I put the bobbin in and that thread is just sitting out into space. So now you got to come here. You got to hold that one while you're holding down that one. So you just get a fingertip up there and you got to do a single down and up. which is incredibly common in some, like in slightly older. This machine's not that old, but it was so instant. It was the norm. It was not the exception. That's how all machines used to be threaded, to the point where even some newer machines still do that. So the other thing that I will 1000% recommend. Sorry, I just gotta sort my bucket. Get your garbage bucket. Get a piece of thread. It happens to everybody. I can be threading this machine, and it just simply has to miss. This particular machine threads. It goes through there, under there, up here, down here, over, behind this, down, up, back down again. Lots and lots of little spaces for something to get missed. And then there's this, then there's the bobbin, and the area that the thread has to catch in the bobbin is actually a fairly small area. Lots of room for a mistake to happen. So always just do 5 or 6 or 10 or whatever stitches, and just make sure that it's going right. Make sure it's not nesting. Make sure it's not doing anything that it's not supposed to do. Because I would like some good person of the internet to give me money for this. I would like to get money for this. I can't do that if I've fucked it up. And like I said, it happens to the best of us on the regular. You can fuck it up without even trying, just because there's plenty of opportunities for your thread to miss landing exactly where it's going to land, right? So with that in mind, let's do that one. I don't have that one on the other machine, so I'll do that on this machine. Okay. So yeah, with that in mind, whenever you've changed your thread, especially if you've dug around inside the machine, whatever, double check. And it's also possible, like that little cup thing that I put in, right? Something comes up, you're super distracted, and you dropped it in and didn't realize that it's not quite setting in. Depending on your machines can be picky just because they can be picky. It's not a big deal. It took me longer to explain it than to do it, right? Anyway. That goes over there. But yeah, I do have to clean this machine more often than I do the other machine, the Janome, which is fine. Like I said, if somebody said you must pick only one machine and it's the only machine you're allowed to use forever, I'd probably default back to this one. But then again, maybe it would depend on my mood. I really like my Janome though. It's a lot faster. I feel like I'm being throttled for sure. My speed throttling is happening. But yeah, I did not do a ponderings because our heat wave finally broke. And so I decided it was just too hot in here. There's no way I was going to use the iron, because I iron everything. I cut all my fabric and then I iron it all before I start sewing it. And I'm not going to skip that step because then I won't get as nice of a project. And I'm not going to iron. And I'm not going to iron when it's like, 85 in the house. All I'm doing right now is I do my top and my bottom. My open hole is at the top here. So I just run this side through first. I run this side through first because then the hole's closed and I don't have to worry about anything. If something down here shifts, it's going to be minimal because this entire end is already sealed shut. It's going to be minimal and an easy fix. If anything up here, if anything on this end's fixed, if anything up on this end slips, I could end up with that hole popping open. It's like, no. So I'm going to keep going with the same stitch. If I'm gonna switch to a different stitch, then I would stop here and flip those and do the bottom. But I'm just gonna keep going. Yeah. So our heat wave finally ended. Life was good. And then Lisa's birthday was over the weekend. That was nice. We kept it pretty low key, actually. We went to the Keg. Went to the Keg for dinner on Saturday. We did our regular stuff. We did our regular date night stuff on Friday just because it was finally feeling nice and we were just ready to get out of the house. So we did our regular date night on Friday, and then Saturday we went to the Keg. What did we do on? Oh, Saturday we went to the Keg. What else did we do? We did something else. I don't know. I can't remember what we did. Oh my God. We kept it. It was pretty low key. It's hard. It's nearly impossible to buy Lisa gifts because everything she wants, it's like, oh, give me a tarot deck. It's like, oh yeah. How am I gonna get you a tarot deck and be sure that it's not one you've already got? So I can double check my spots there. My opening, there it is. It's on that side. So then yesterday we went out to a place called Steveston down by the water where the Fraser River enters into the, I forget what it's called. What's that area called? Fraser River empties into the ocean water that's off of Vancouver. What's that called? That's not the Strait of Vancouver, is it? I forget what that area, into the strait anyway. So we went down there. We took the dogs. Oh my God, Lisa's got some photos. I got to get them off of her. We took the dogs down. There's a couple little beachy areas, right? Bruno and Shayla are both wandering into the water, and Bruno kept trying to lay down in it. He's like, I'm in the water. It's fine. He likes water, so he's like, I'm just gonna lay here for a minute. The only reason why he didn't just stay in the water the whole time is like laying in it is because there was a little bit of wave action. So he didn't like the wave action. Well, he didn't mind it, but then a boat would go by and churn it up a bit, and he'd be like, "Okay, get me out of here." But they had a great time. Shayla didn't want to come back, and she's usually the one that wants. She's usually the one that is like, she's not that fond of water, not normally. So she was the one that just kept going into the water, and it's like, yeah, I'm staying. Okay. Had some of the best fish and chips I've like ever had down there at their concession stand. You know those cheap little concession stands when you go to those beachy areas, and it's like, okay, let's get some fish and chips. Because we noticed that they had a really high rating. Like, okay, let's give them a try. We've got the dog. We've got the dogs. We can't go too far anyway. We got the dogs. They're little. They're old. They don't have a lot of energy. Yeah, awesome. And Bruno, who barks at everybody, was such a gentleman. He only barked a couple times, so that was nice. So we had a good time. Maybe I don't. I don't know. Stop there. If you're doing multiple, stop while you've still got a couple of stitches to go in this one, so that way it acts as your stitch leader and helps keep your foot level for the next one. Anyway, that was it. That was our weekend. It was nicely low key. Apparently Lisa got herself a book. She got herself a book that she'd been wanting. I think it was a book. She said, I got myself something I've been wanting, and you're going to get the credit for it. That way you can't complain about it. I'm like, okay, deal. That was my gift. My gift to her was not bitching. So that worked out really well. But, okay, now I'm into different shades of purple. I don't like that one either. Lisa tells me that there's warm colors and cool colors, whatever. And I'm like, whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna be going through a couple of different purples for this for sure. Yeah, what else we want to talk about today? Like I said, didn't do paranormal ponderings because the heat wave ended, but we were just going to be doing a. I think we were just going to be doing a jump down the. I'm just making drawstring bags today. I just thought I'd turn on the camera so I'd have something to talk, somebody and something, and have a reason to hear my own voice while I just chillax. Get this done. That is a dark purple. Okay, off the end we go. Take that. La 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 la. Take that. Pop that back in. Come on, come on. There you go. So I just take this whole thing, flip it, and then just do the other side. And the other side's already been done. If I need to, I can hold. If I need to, I've got a little rule. I've got ruler measurements just built in right here on this. So if I need to double check anything, I can just do that. Make sure it's staying consistent. As long as you're not, yeah, just regular classic Peggy bags. As long as you're not as long as you're being relatively gentle-handed with your stuff, once you get a couple of clips in, you usually don't have to worry too much. And if you're doing multiples, when I pick this one up and line it up, right? If this is like, say this is off and it's now this thick, it's going to show, right? It's going to be off you can't see because of the lighting. It's going to be off. You just compare this one to the one before it. It's like, oh, yep, that's fine. Keep going. These are for the shop. These are going into the shop. Ideally this Thursday, but well, yeah, I should have no problem getting them. I should have no problem getting these in for Thursday. And then Thursday, the rest of my AccuQuilt dies are coming in. So I'm going to spend at least a couple of days processing some scrap. And then we'll see what I'm going to... Ideally, I'm going to do smalls this week, standards, and larges next week. But it'll depend on how distracted I get by my new dies and being able to cut all that fabric. Right now, we're just shooting the shit. Give me a reason to talk. Give me a reason to stay distracted. Well, it's okay to be distracted when you're doing something you can do in your sleep. So, yeah. Plus, keeping me a little bit distracted slows me down, which I'm supposed to be kind of sort of resting my hand. And like I said, it's more of an annoyance. It's an annoyance. I keep mentioning it, but I've got a little bit of tendonitis going on. So what will happen to the scrap? The scrap's going to get cut up in my AccuQuilt die. Yeah, okay. I'm going to be using my AccuQuilt die to get rid of scrap, but I'm also still going to have, depending on what I end up with, I'm definitely doing some scrap and adding it to the shop. Or rather, not some scrap. I've got some fabric that I just need to get rid of. It's batik that I just don't use the batik. So I'm going to be processing some of that out into like jelly rolls and stuff and adding that to the shop. And then the other stuff, I'm going to be doing it for my own use. I'm still going to do scrap packs, but I'm probably not going to be doing, I don't think I'm going to process for the free scrap packs because the idea is to make less work. But the scrap, well, a lot of the stuff that I've shown, a lot of the stuff that I make on the channel when I'm making something for funsies for me is coming out of scrap. So that's going to be a thing. Right now, I've got a die that does what's called a flying geese block. So I will be probably making a few more. I'll probably making some of those, but my dies are all kinds of shapes and sizes. So this is done. But I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I know, okay, I've got fabrics that I've got large amounts of that I'm definitely going to be processing some of it into packs for the shop, especially my batik. I've got like a lot of batik. And I've got so much other fabric already built up as a stash that I don't need to prioritize the batik, and I just realized I haven't used it. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna do stuff for the shop. I'm still gonna have. I generate so much scrap even on a good day. I'm still gonna do scrap packs. Well, no, this doesn't turn the scrap into the same thing. Like I'll be able. I'm getting like I'm getting 6 new dies. So I'll be able to do 2.5 inch strips, 1.5 inch strips. I've got 2 that are called block on board, where you just run it through, and then when you're done, you can make a very specific design, which I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And I got one to do the hexagons. You know those mats that I did with the hexagon in the middle with all the stuff around it? I got one that'll pre-cut that for me. So I'll get the precision cut in like 1/10 of the time with 1/10 of the work. But yeah, so these are done, and then when I just fold them backwards, sew, add my strings, and it's done. So start my pile over here. Be right back. What am I doing? There we go. Really cool thing about working from home is you can get up and do your laundry, and which is awesome. Okay, that's going to be a dark one. Those two can be the same. Okay, so I gotta get me a light purple now because it's this pattern. That one will work. I don't have enough of it. Yes, I do. I have lots of it. Do you guys see my thread drawer? I just keep all my thread right here. Pop it open, see what I've got. Is that? That's the same thread there. Which is why I started the thread drawer. These two, I've only got 2 to do. Okay. My local supplier has thread sales. Every time there's a long weekend, my local supplier does 50% off of notions, thread, and stuff like that. So whenever they're having their sale, I will keep a list of what I need, and I will go in and buy a few of this and a few of that to make sure that I never have to agonize about my thread. So I'm gonna set that one out of the way for now. I've got these two. This one here is kind of sort on its last legs, so I'll get through as much as I can. It might be enough for 2. Might be enough for both bags. I'll just keep an eye on it, make sure I don't go too crazy. Anyway, yeah, we're just chilling today. We're not doing much of anything. I'm happy to talk about any topic. I don't really care. Ask me anything. Because I'm not doing anything exciting today. So But yeah, like, okay, this year I can put it in my little machine and turn it into a couple of 2.5-inch strips. There's another one that'll make squares, so I can turn it into a square. But what I can do is I can turn them into perfectly sized whatever, which is basically what I've been wanting to do. And there's a whole lot of upsides. Speed, getting things done. I generate more scrap than I have time to process. Yeah. Oh yeah, it'll be perfect for quilting. One of the projects I want to do, and I keep not getting around to it because the cutting alone will take hours and hours and hours. And that is to take all of my pieces, get them 2.5 inches wide, get all my pieces 2.5 inches wide, and then take my 2.5 inch wide pieces, make a big long chain. This is how it's done. And then make a quilt out of it, right? Except for just finding the time. This is why I give it away. It's like, I don't want to throw it away. That's a waste. But just finding the time to do that much cutting, it's kind of a catch-22. You can take a bolt of fabric. Okay, like a jelly roll is 42.5-inch strips. I can take my full bolts and make a jelly roll. That's not a problem. I can take a bolt of fabric, zip, 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 2.5-inch strips. I can make jelly rolls. I can do those by hand. That would not be an issue. But if I want to take these, if I want to trim that to 2.5 inches, trim that to 2.5 inches, sew the two of them together, and then grab something else, grab whatever else, that's a lot more work. So the main reason why I want the strip cutter is to make the 2.5-inch strips that I want, because there's a really, really, really fantastic thing that you can do when you cut up those strips. It looks just really cool. Once the strips themselves are cut, it takes longer to, okay, when you're working with smaller pieces like that, it takes longer to cut the fabric than it does to sew it into a quilt. So it's like, and that's why I started giving fabric away. I just don't have the time for it. I don't have the time for it, which is fine. But what I've been finding is that whenever I want to do a personal project, sometimes I'm just cutting into fresh fabric instead of working through my scrap, which works out good for you guys, I guess, right? It's no problem there. But I've gone through periods of I've literally thrown away entire garbage bags of scrap just because it was getting so out of hand. I was running out of places to put it, and I do not want to be in that spot again. So now I can process it all into stuff I can. Bye. There we go. I'm back. I got a slow connection, so if it disappears, it shouldn't be. It's Monday. There we go. But yeah, so I can process all my scrap. I can give it away. I can sell it. I can do whatever I want to do with it. We'll see how that goes. Because also at the same time, if I start, okay, like I've got batik, which is not, batik isn't a problem, but my favorite batik is the black. And the black batik just picks up dog hair like nobody's business. But so I've already got my stuff switched over. Am I going to do that one? No, I'll do something else. Well, I'll keep with the simple one. Where is it? There it is. I'll keep this with a simple one because it would overwhelm the design anyway. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm getting excited about it because the delivery note, the delivery estimate says Thursday that I'll get everything else. So that might be my weekend, is processing all this stuff, but we'll see. Plus, this is the I don't trust anybody part too. Is that it's like I got the machine off of Amazon in part because of their generous return policies, right? Because if there's a problem with the machine, I want to be able to return it, exchange it for. I have not heard anything bad about the machines not working or anything like that. But it's like, well, wait a second. If I'm going to process enough scrap that I'm going to be like busy processing scrap and really, really putting this machine through its paces. I should do it sooner than later. And last thing you want to do is get this machine and go, I'm waiting for that big project. And then will you film it? Yeah, well, you know, it's a good business buy and it's a good personal buy. And something else that happens is when I'm trying to give my wrist brace a break, when my tendonitis is acting up and I'm trying to hold something down, it's more likely to shift on me. And yeah, I'll be filming. I will be filming. I don't care. I like hanging out with you guys anyway. I'm gonna be doing I'm definitely putting my batik in the shop because I'm just not using it. I'm just not using it, and it's a shame to see it going to waste just sitting there. It's a shame to just see it sitting there going to waste. So I'm definitely going to do that. I'm going away again. I don't know if I'm still stable on your end, guys, but I keep going black screen. So I don't know if that's affecting what you're seeing and hearing or not. If it goes away again, I might just give up and not worry about it. Oh, it says it's fine now. Yeah, I'm cutting in and out. Every now and again, I don't know. I wonder, maybe that's what time of day. Maybe that's the time of day they do their whatever. Lisa said we might be needing a new router, and she's probably right. But then again, we also have a lot of construction in the area on a regular basis. So if they've nicked something or gotten too close to something or whatever, but so far so good. Yeah, only a couple of it was only a couple of seconds of weirdness on my end too, and then it went right back to normal. So I should be fine. It should be okay. I'm just going full disclosure that if it does cut out completely, because it is showing on my end, it's showing a weak signal. So if it goes out completely, it is my end. And if that happens, I'll probably just give it up. Find something else to keep me distracted from the distractions of distracting myself with work. But yeah, when I'm trying to give my hand a break, I shouldn't be doing a lot of cutting and stuff because I don't know. I can, but when something's bugging you, when a joint or when a body part is bugging you, it gets tired faster and blah blah blah. I'm over explaining that. I know I am. Quick, distract me with another topic. But anyway, there's a whole lot of reasons why a machine like this is going to be beneficial. So I can still, on days when I'm not up for regular sewing, I can process all my crap quickly. Because I'll tell you right now, cleaning everything up so that I can be hovering over a table, and it's not always appealing. Cutting fabric as I go is fine, but hovering over there just to cut fabric because, it's too hot to work, so I'm going to stand in the most airless part of the house. And I don't know. Now I'm justifying. I don't need to justify it. It's a worthwhile expense. If selling fabric doesn't work, it's still worthwhile. It really will be because I generate so much scrap. And the biggest problem with scrap is just finding time to sort it all out and decide what to do with it. And this way I can just, okay, these are bigger, they become squares. These are smaller, they become strips, or these are narrower. And then, because there's a ton of projects. There is a ton of projects that all you would need to do is just reach your hand into a bucket and pull out a piece of fabric. So I want to get working on those. But like I said, like the strip quilts, there's like a couple of different ideas with strip quilts that I want to try. And it would take me more time. Yeah, anything that takes pressure off my wrist. And like I said, I'm making it sound like my wrist is worse than it is. The idea here is making sure it stays that way, right? It's like, it's irritated. Let's keep it irritated instead of getting it so bad that it's like, oh, look, I can't sew anymore because I ignored it and now it's just completely out of control. That's the thing, right? It's like, it's not really as big of a deal. It's not as big. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm feeling like almost like I need, and it's possible. Like, I mean, there's a little bit of like, maybe I feel like I need to explain or apologize as I'm pointing it out, because I don't want to, I'm not running around with all these debilitating aches and pains all the time, but I've got enough shit going on that I don't want to turn it into a debilitating ache and pain. So that will be a benefit. Letting me get ahead on keeping my scrap under control will be a huge benefit. And some of the projects that I really, really, really want to do, I'm not getting to because I don't want to, because I want to save time. I'm not saving. So lots and lots of reasons. I think I'm overthinking this. Yeah, you want to stop it before it gets worse. And I think, well, it's irritated right now, which is probably why. You ever do that? It's like, when it's not bugging me, it's like, what do you mean? I don't have a problem with my wrist, is right? And then when it's bugging you, you overthink it. It's like, yeah, I've got this thing going on, and let me spend 20 or 30 minutes talking about it. Let me just aggravate everybody by talking about it. But no, it's not as big of a deal. I want to make sure it doesn't become a big deal. You know what it was? Is I had I was working as a cashier and had a thing. I forgot to put my stitch leader on. Cross your fingers. I was working as a cashier and started getting like a really bad tennis elbow up on this side, and I tried to ignore it. Ended up with 6 months off of work. So it's like, yeah, I really don't want to do that to myself. But no, it's not. You know what it is? That's the thing, right? It's like acknowledging what's there so that you can take the proper steps to mitigate it, bypass it, work around it, and keep it from becoming something. I mean, that's what I do with my knee all the time. So it's the same thing. Oh, I don't have enough. I might, but I don't want to take a chance. Oh, maybe. I might have had enough, but I'm not going to... Apparently, I'm just going to throw my bobbin away. I don't know where that went. There it is. Pick that up. I'm still finding bits of memory foam from that pillow I made last week. That's not a problem. But, oh yeah, and you wandered in late, so you missed me showing off the thing. I'll show off the thing. I'll take a couple seconds here. I did the one die that does flying geese, and I made that out of it. I made a nice little just a nice little just like a nice little mini table runner. So that was this is probably the biggest project that I've ever done so far using precision cuts like this. Few things I can do better, but I'm very happy with it. Well, okay, stereotypical, obvious things that any beginner would go, I would like to do that better. Nothing that I need to worry about. So yeah, so that's what I'm hoping for, that I just run my fabric through the machine and then sew this shit up really, really good. That's what I'm working on. That's what that little gadget's going to do for me. Okay. Start it on that side, push it on that side. And I don't need that. I'll figure it out. I'll be fine. But yeah. So that's my sewing world today. Now I got to figure out. Like I said, I'm definitely processing all of my batik. That is for sure. Okay, that one's done. I'm not putting that one on there. I've got to sort out all my boutique for sure. One thing I tend to do is I don't necessarily agonize about cutting my loose threads unless they're really obvious, because I will come back. I don't agonize about cutting all the loose threads as I go right now, because once I do this part and get them all paired up, I will come back, because it's going to sit for a while, right? So as I'm getting ready to sew it, I will come back and trim all this up before, as I'm closing them. But I close them with black because it'll match that, and it's a much nicer looking finish. So anyway, if it looks like I'm ignoring my loose threads, I'm not. I'm just doing them later. Anyway, back over here again. Keep you guys on the verge of vertigo constantly. It makes it more fun. There. I never know where to put this stuff. Now, Stevie's off in Wales on vacation. Everybody else seems to be just chilling today. I'm just chilling today. I'm playing catch up. It's still hot outside, but the worst of it's over. The air conditioner is finally keeping up. They are building at the back of my house, and my tiny chihuahua thinks he can take on a giant digger. Oh my God, that sounds like Bruno. He barks at everything. We have been, oh my God, I think this neighborhood we've had something or other. Basically, we've been here for about 7.5, going on to 8 years now. But we live near one of the major malls in this area. And the lower mainland of Vancouver is having like a population. We got people coming in faster than they can build houses. So what they did a few years ago, and it makes sense. And don't get me wrong. This is not something I disagree with, right? I definitely think like, okay, well, we've got more people. People are moving in faster than we can build houses. So they rezoned this area for 50 stories, for 50-story buildings. So we've had up to 50 stories. So we've pretty much had a constant state of building in this neighborhood because we're close to the mall, right? And we're close to the mall, and this particular mall has one of the biggest transit hubs in the area because it goes right to like a really good bus network and the SkyTrain, yada 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 yada. So they said, well, you're near a giant thing, so let's just okay all this construction. So now we've got like constant state of construction the entire time we've lived here. So Bruno gets like that. That's the punchline. Bruno gets like that. We'll go through the neighborhood and there'll be a new sign up or a new something up. And he's like, I got to bark at that. It's getting better. He's finally getting too old to give a shit or something because he's not barking quite. Oh, no, he still barks all the time, but he's getting a little bit quicker at stopping when we ask him to. For this one, I'm going to have a darker, or am I going to? Those ones are going to be the same. Okay. La la la. 2 seconds. Nose blowing time. That's what's happening around my area. Not 50 stories. The only problem is no one can afford to buy the new places they are building. Well, that's a whole different conversation. I'm definitely in favor of the increased I'm definitely in favor of increased. Get some. We've got more people than houses right now as it is. Let's get some stuff in there. But yeah, they just put in a 40-story 40? Is it 36 or 40? There's a 40. There is a 40. We go out and walk the dogs. We look down at the end of the street. There's a 40-story building, 36 to 40. I forget how tall the building is. On the side of the building that's facing us, only 11 units are occupied out of like, so if we assume 11 units per side, it's 200. There's 262 units in the building, and maybe 50 of them are occupied because the prices are so high. They're focusing on getting all these buildings put up, and they're unaffordable. They're completely unaffordable. This area here, that we're looking at a housing crash as it's we're watching a housing crash getting ready to happen in this area. Yeah, if it got families into houses, it would be okay, but that's not what's happening. Well, let's put it this way. Our glorious leader, as much as I try to avoid politics because politics is a very hot button topic, but as much as I want to avoid talking about politics, our glorious leader. Now, when you think of a middle class family, what do you think of? Well, our prime minister thinks that affordable rents are what you should be thinking of when you think of a middle class family. We need rents that a middle class family can afford. That's his stance, right? The unfortunate problem is if that's the best you can expect as a middle class family. And I'm not okay. Lots of people rent for lots of different reasons, right? But if this is the battle plan for middle class families is to help them afford their rent, then the punchline is, at least in Canada, middle class in Canada means you own your own home. And now our government is saying, oh yeah, affordable rent means solidly middle class families should have affordable rent. They're not even talking about middle class families being able to own a home anymore. So I've been doing the bad thing today, but what's also happening over here? Where are you at, Trish? You're in New Zealand? Am I remembering that right, or am I just dumb? But yeah, they're prioritizing building all this housing that nobody can afford to move into. So I've got a decision to make. No, I've still got plenty of that. Yeah. So basically, like we've got condos going in. We've got brand new condos that are half the size of the condo I live in now. This is a 30-year-old building, right? They've got brand new condos going in, $750,000 Canadian, and that's $750,000 Canadian is a lot of fucking money. The average income up here, like the average school teacher say, makes about $75,000. So we're talking like 10 years income, 10 years worth of your income. That's not it. That's called the debt to income ratio, right? People are having to work 20 or 30 years just to get their down payments. So I need my dark purple. Where's my dark purple? That's the wrong dark purple. I don't want that dark purple. There's a dark purple. Oh, that one's not doing so shit hot either. 447. Okay, I got more. When you notice that, you check the magical drawer and just make sure you still have some left. I'm not sure if this is the right. Oh no, this will match the shade of one of the background pieces, so that's fine. But yeah, they're prioritizing getting a lot of these buildings built, and it's going to be really interesting to see how that goes. They also don't take into account schooling, doctors, places for kids to play. Like my area, the two schools are tiny, and there's only one doctor's surgery and no parks. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, they're doing that. They're doing that. What's going on? Okay, there we go. They're doing that here. And like I said, the punchline to my, like, I mean, it's kind of hard to describe, but I'm sitting there going like, our prime minister who cannot figure out why he's struggling in the polls. You know what? Maybe I need to do this in a dark blue. Nah, fuck it. I'll do this one. Our prime minister cannot figure out why he's losing in popularity because he thinks that, and like I said, like, yeah, they want, you know what? I think somebody somewhere, it's like, yeah, you guys keep building. This is awesome because then the developers are the ones that are gonna lose money. But yeah, that's what's happening here right now. There's another building. There's the building that's behind me here. They advertise themselves as like a 17 building complex built for the buildings and are still struggling to fill the one building is rentals, and you can tell that not every unit is full because the rents are too high. And then the building beside it is it's a weird complex where part of the complex is rentals and part of the complex is purchase, and they're not full. They're not full. We have more. We still have more people than we have places to live. Places to live are so expensive that nobody can afford to live in them. I can't think of, like, okay, Lisa and I share this place. We moved here 8 years ago and got a really good deal on the rent. We can't afford to move. If we moved, our rent would double. And it's like, oh, I want to move into one of those nice new condos. It's like, okay, well, we move into one of those nice new condos, and we're going to get a smaller place with smaller bedrooms. Smaller place, smaller bedrooms, no dining room, which is where my sewing room is right now. And the rent in the building, in the one of the newer buildings around here. We've got 2 big rental buildings. We've got 3 big rental buildings. None of them are full. Anyway, no, it's crazy. It's fucking crazy. But yeah, we want to make rents affordable for the middle class. It's like the middle class should be looking at purchasing, not renting. The middle class should not be stuck renting. And the government should not be supporting the idea. This is the same government, mind you, that brought in 1 million immigrants. And that's fine. It's like, hey, if you qualify to immigrate to Canada, and our government is dumb enough not to recognize what a shitty move that is. Oh yeah, they're the same. So, like, we've got immigrants are coming to Canada because they want to come here for various reasons, and they're leaving because they're like, whoa, wait a second, because it's already unlivable to be here. We're filling up the country with people. We already have more people than houses as it is, and then we're bringing in even more people. It's like, well, if we bring in new people, then they're going to start investing in this and investing in that, and will improve the Canadian economy. Except for it's not. Oh, there you go. Our government lets it happen because they all own rental properties, so higher rent means more money for them. I don't know how that works here. I know that, like, some cities and municipalities own houses, and our banking is all backed by government funding. But no, I think basically from the perspective of what we're looking at here, it's like more people means more votes for the government. More people means more votes in favor of the government, and and yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of our politicians have a lot of money tied up in real estate. I think that's a given. It's like, well, wait a second. As long as prices stay high, we stay rich. It's like, okay, but no, it's kind of crazy. Like, I mean, a lot of immigrants. There's definitely some of the we shouldn't be letting in so many people into Canada. It's got nothing to do with xenophobia. It's got to do with I'm going down to my local grocery store, and I'm seeing newcomers to Canada in front of the grocery store with signs panhandling for money because they can't fucking afford to live here. We're letting 1 million people a year into the country, knowing knowing that they won't be able to support themselves when they get here. So is it fair to say they shouldn't be coming into the country? Well, it's absolutely fair. It's got nothing to do with whether or not they, where'd that go? Oh, that's still there. So it's but of course you can't bring that, oh, you're a xenophobic. It's like, oh my fucking God, no, I am watching people who immigrated to this country 6 months ago begging in the streets because they can't afford to feed their fucking kids. Because they came to this country for one reason, they came to this country for a variety of reasons and had no fucking idea what they were getting into. So yeah, it's like there are other countries in the world that would have been much better places for them. Yeah, if you let people in, you should be making sure they can live. That's exactly the thing. But we've got this, like, I kid you not, like our own prime minister, oh, blah, 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 all these racists that don't want immigrants. It's like, oh my fucking God, no. It's like, I mean, that's why the conservatives are going to win the next election here, because the conservatives are, you know, Canada's got so many. Canada is not like the States where we only have two parties. Canada is much more diverse in our political structure than that. And the conservatives are saying, like, we want people that we want these people, we want a system so that when people immigrate to Canada, they can thrive, so that they're not stuck on welfare, so they're not begging for food to feed their kids, right? And it's like, but no, our liberal government is like, well, we think the middle class should be able to afford rent. It's like, no, they should be able to afford down payments. Why would anybody want to put in the hard work? It's easy to say, oh, he makes a lot of money, but you know, you pay your dues to get there, right? Why would anybody want to put in the work, take the risk, do the whatever, so that they can just hope to afford rent and never get ahead? Yeah, but you should be, yeah, like you said, Trisha, if you let them in, they should be able to actually live, and they don't. They don't. It is so sad to see what's happening. We've got two types of people that are coming into Canada. We've got people that are already rich looking to get richer, and we've got people with nothing that are ending up on the fucking street. Neither one of and if we could do something, I mean, maybe if we could do something about the price of housing, the people that actually want to be here and blah, blah, blah. But, oh my God, it's like fucking, it's sad. And then you got people. Well, no, I'll tell you right now, in this area, I can't think of anybody, not one person that I know of in this area who is actually like saving money for a rainy day. Sure. I can't think of anybody who is actually saving up, assuming that they will have enough money for a down payment on anything. Even my own kid. It's like, no. He's like, no, I'm saving my money. Sure. I definitely want money in savings, and I want this and I want that. But there's, and you know, he's like, what? He's 32 now. John's 32 now. He's like, there's no way I can buy a house, not unless the market crashes. So, but anyway, that's its own thing. I get like, I mean, and it's like, well, you've got a place to live. What are you bitching about? It's like, I can't move. I can't afford to move. We can't afford to downsize. How fucking crazy is that? A studio apartment costs, because we moved in 8 years ago, so we're getting a decent rent, right? And we talked about this. It's like, oh, you know, like Lisa and I were talking about this, going like, well, it'd be nice to be living somewhere a little nicer, a little further away from the constant construction, whatever. And it's like, but a studio apartment costs more than what we pay now for our 2-bedroom. It's like, oh, right. We would have to go. No, there's no, even the smaller towns here, because there was a big thing. You know what happened here? People the price of a house, the home values in Vancouver went up so fast over the last like 20 years. You buy your house for $150,000 back in the 80s, and it's now worth $2 million. Okay, so these people sold their house. These people, I'm gonna retire early, buy a condo in one of the smaller towns, and retire. So that happened. So all these people started cashing out, because where do you think developers are getting these properties that they're then assembling into these large lots? They're buying out They're buying out people that own houses and replacing them with giant condo complexes and stuff like that, right? So basically, this big flood of people started hitting all the small towns, buying up all the property. And so now it costs almost as much to go live in a small town as it does to just stay here, which is scary. I feel sorry for anybody who is coming to Canada thinking that they're going to actually be able to start over. And I'll tell you right now, there's even people with money who came here. Oh, blah, blah, blah. I heard Canada's a good place to invest. So, and they're not staying. They're like, oh shit, no, there's not, the risk is too high, because anybody, they're seeing the risks, right? It's like, why should I buy property and invest in Canada, hoping that these $1 million prices continue when nobody can actually afford to buy them? If you're an investor, you buy a property and hope that somebody else is going to come along and buy it, right? So that you can take your profit and move on to the next thing. That's not happening anymore. So even the foreign investor market is drying up, which has actually been a bit of a problem around here for a long time. Oh. I'm just going to keep going with that one. But no, people with money are looking for they're looking for other places. They're looking for other countries with emerging economies. So Canada is just, I don't know. I think that's gonna be good for us in the long run, but it's gonna depend. If you are in Canada. Oh, Gail says even small towns here have skyrocketed, especially as people are leaving the GTA for the surrounding areas. Oh fuck yeah, Muskoka. Oh Jesus, that was bad when I was young, and I cannot imagine how anything between Toronto and Barrie, I cannot imagine how bad that is now. My hometown, when I left my hometown 20 years ago, you could buy a house for $100,000, and now that's your down payment. Because everybody wants to, they have to. They can't afford where they are. But now, if you are not already working in a recession-proof industry, get into one now, because it's funny because the whole thing in the U.S. that caused the housing market crisis was you have this debt to income ratio. You have this people in the States were overextended on their mortgages. They allowed this system to happen where people just simply couldn't afford basic mortgages. The default rate went crazy. People started walking away from their mortgages. Housing market in the U.S. crashed, caused a global recession, right? Most countries, most first world countries now have a higher debt to income ratio or housing market. It's worse now than it was when the United States had their big meltdown. The U.S. is right back to the same numbers they were before that happened to them. And everybody's going, no, it's not going to happen again. We're fine. But yeah, if you are working in an industry that could be affected by a recession, now's the time. We were insulated from it because we still had a lot of foreign investment happening. So people that did have cash to invest were still willing to invest in the Canadian market, or at least in the local market in this area. And now those investors are starting to quietly leave the market. I think a lot of these big developers are just, I think okay, around here in Vancouver, I think a lot of them are fast tracking. They're like, I want to get this project done, built, get our money, and get the fuck out before the market crashes. Because as much as there's all this noise about new developments happening, there's not a lot of noise about sales happening. Property, development property, blah blah blah. Like they tried to do a thing in this building. They did it by vote. They did it legally. They tried to see if they could get an investor interested in buying out the property a few years ago. Not one investor was willing to look at this property. And yet, right behind us here, they are talking about putting in a 50-story building. Across the street, like, I think developers are trying to fast track building out what they can while they can still. I think they want to. They want to get what they can while they can still hope to profit, and then they're all going to start walking. We bought our house just under 10 years ago. My first time ever living in a house, and the value has more than doubled. Absolutely, yeah. They're calling for real estate values in Vancouver to go up by 9% this year. And I was like, are you kidding me? 9% on a $750,000 house is okay. The house value is going to increase by 9%, but you need 10% for a down payment, and that's at a bare minimum. So I need the amount of money I need for my down payment just got eaten up by the amount of money that the house value is going to go up. So basically, your ability to save for a down payment, you're always going to be playing catch up. You are never going to catch up. And I'm turning 60 this year. There's no fucking way that I am going to try. There's no way that we're going to try and jump into that. There's no way. I mean, my oldest, he's 32. He doesn't have enough for a down payment. He doesn't. And he's got, he's not, well, okay. 20 years ago, he's got some savings, right? And 20 years ago, it would have been, wow, John, you've got enough saved to go get a house. And now it's like, oh yeah, it's too bad. Too bad. Around here, like if you want to buy a house here, you need like $300,000 or $400,000 as your down payment, or they won't even look at you. And you need to have, around here, they won't even give you a mortgage if you don't have a mortgage helper, a basement suite, a second apartment. You don't even get your house to yourself. Yeah, Trish says I'm 34 and I'll never be able to buy a house. Here's the thing. I've never had the economic status for buying a house something that I could reasonably expect to do. I'm fine with that. Like, that's just life. I don't fucking care. It's okay. It's fine. But knowing that it can never happen, knowing that like a friend of ours was a fucking lawyer and could not afford a down payment out here. They went to Toronto and rented. They couldn't even afford. I'm not sure what their whole story was, but like they were living, the guy's a lawyer with years and years of experience living in a fucking basement suite. Living in somebody else's, like, I have no problem with basement suites, but it's like I can't get a house unless I have a tenant, and I have to. It's like, yeah, it's fucking crazy. I'll tell you right now, though. Right now, right this minute, I wouldn't want. Okay, I don't know if I would want to own a house right now in this economy. Because the signs of a catastrophic real estate bubble burst have been there for a long time, and everybody is just going, nah, that's not possible. Like around here, it's like, no, we have so many people that want to be here that the prices are only ever going to go up. And it's like it never occurred to them that what happens when those people no longer, like, Canada is a big fucking country, right? So what happens when people, like, I can go up to the East Coast, find something more affordable than here. What happens when everybody, what happens when all the new immigrants to Canada start going, I don't want to come to Canada. You're too fucking expensive. I can't afford to live in your country. I'm not going there. So what happens when that happens? And then what happens? Because we used to have this bathtub slosh. Economy goes to crap on the West Coast, everybody starts moving east. Economy goes to crap in the east, everybody starts moving west. It's like people are starting to leave this area, and it's starting to, and the day it goes upside down and we have more people leaving than coming in, the economy is going to crash like overnight. I just get up on my high horse about it. And I know I'm on my high horse about it. I know I am. I get up on my high horse about it because you turn on the news. Oh, we're building all these new houses. We're building this. We're building that. We're doing all these wonderful things. It's like, dude, these buildings in my neighborhood some of them are half empty because the one around the corner over there has had a sign up for almost 2 years. Buy today, move in tomorrow. The complex over behind us that was supposed to have 17 buildings stopped at 4, and building number 4 is only about 20% occupied. The big rental buildings, there's 2 there and 1 there. They always have rentals available. So it's like they're not willing to, and every rental that's out there, I don't know of anybody who doesn't have a roommate. Unless they're living in like a shithole. My youngest, he doesn't have a roommate, but he found his place like 3 years ago in a quiet, out of the way neighborhood that with no parking, and it was a very specific type of apartment that he found where they're not going to get a tenant unless it is cheap. And since he doesn't drive, it worked out for him. Tiny, tiny place, right? But my son John, he's living in a house right now. My son John knows a guy who owns a house, and he's got like 6 roommates. This guy's got a really nice house. He I don't know where he got the down payment from. He got it. He found his way into a really nice house, and the only way that he can afford the bills is to have 6 or 7 roommates. I forget how many roommates I forget how many people he's got in there right now, plus a basement suite with 3 or 4 people living down there. It's nuts. It's crazy. I honestly, you mentioned housing and I'll just bitch for hours. But you read the articles, oh, blah, 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 housing starts are this, and this is what's going on, and that's what's going on. And it's like, I don't think you're seeing what's really going on. If I have to have 5 roommates and a basement suite to be able to live in a house, then what happens if I'm a dick and all my tenants move out? What happens if like this guy's single, no kids, right? What happens when he gets married and wants to have a couple of kids and he can't because he can't afford to kick his roommates out? It's like, okay, guys, I'm being an adult now and getting married, and we're gonna have a couple of kids, so we need more space, less roommates. So some of you guys have got to go. It's like, good luck paying the bills. Good luck paying basic. Good luck paying for anything, right? I don't know. It's crazy. $10,000-$12,000 a month for a mortgage. Not okay. But anyway. This bitching moment was brought to you by, no, I don't know, like not being able to afford a house, not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. But now it's gone so fucking crazy that you can't even afford basic rents. And I know people, I've bumped into people who have roommates that they don't want roommates, but they would not be eating if they didn't have a roommate. Or they're stuck with a shitty roommate or whatever. This is too bad. And here's just me cutting away on my fabric. Cutting away on fabric, bitching about the state of the economy. It's going to be interesting, though, because we're seeing a lot of right-leaning governments coming in. Well, actually, we're seeing a lot of opposite. We're seeing a lot of big changes. A lot of, countries that were formerly very, very liberal are now becoming very, very conservative. Countries that were very conservative are now, because and I think it's because nobody's seeing the writing on the law. Yeah, I would love to live on my own, but I could never afford it. And I think that's the thing. I think people are seeing this. People are seeing government has so much input on what goes on in day-to-day living. And then when day-to-day living starts getting this fucked up, you're going to look at whoever's currently in charge and go, we need a change. Sorry to my brother who is stuck with me, but yeah, that's true though, right? Like Lisa and I even talked about this. If we wanted to move into someplace a little nicer or into a nicer, we're in a nice enough area. This is a very quiet area and we're okay that way, right? But if we wanted to move into let's go somewhere let's move a little further out and get into a townhouse or something like that. It ain't going to happen. We can't even afford that. Bring it back. Checking on laundry, blow my nose, life goes on. It's fine. But no, it's really, I don't know. I feel sad for anybody who's like, you know, and it could be me. This is the thing. It's like I said, oh, I feel sad for anybody who's stuck in these situations, right? But rents and mortgages and costs are so fucking high that could be one. Okay, my landlord comes up and says, oh hey, we've had some changes. So because when we first moved in here, my landlord got married. His husband had a condo in Richmond. He had the condo here, right? So they're like, well, we need to live in just one. So they were originally living out here, but then they realized that the husband's job, they realized that it would be better for them if they lived in the husband's in the other one's condo. So they decided to rent this one out, right? Because of his job. So what happens if something changes with this guy's job? And they're like, okay, well, we've had some job changes, so we need this condo back, so we'll have to ask you to leave. Our rent doubles easily. If we wanted to get something the same size as this, it's like, well, we need two bedrooms. Yeah, I'm just gonna stay with this one. You know, it's like, well, we need two bedrooms. We need enough space we need two bedrooms, enough space for Lisa to have a little bit of even if it's just a little alcove somewhere, but 2 bedrooms, enough space for Lisa to do some filming and enough space for me to do some sewing. We can't afford it. Well, I guess we would find a way to make it work, but our rent would double. It's like, wait a second. I think that's the scary part. I think the really scary part is that anybody can be in that situation with one small change. And even if you own your own home, but you have to have that basement tenant. So you own your own home, but you have to have a basement tenant in order to afford your mortgage. What happens if the government comes and taps you on the shoulder and says, oh, we've changed the rules and your suite is no longer considered legal, so you're no longer allowed to have tenants. And now you're losing what? $2,000-$3,000 a month that you require because you can't pay your mortgage otherwise. Yeah. Or your tenant moves out, and your tenant moves out. I saw this happen to a guy actually. Basement tenant moves out, right? This was okay. I didn't know the guy personally. It was on some sort of it was on one of those local community groups. He's like, yeah, I'm looking for a basement tenant. I've got this really nice unit. I've got this thing going on. And one big problem out here in Vancouver is that people put in these basement suites and there's no soundproofing. So they don't want a family of 4 or 5 moving in because it's fucking loud, right? So they're like, oh, I'm looking for somebody for my basement suite. I want 4,000. It's a huge suite, but I'm only willing to take in 2 people, 4 bedrooms, 2 people, a huge suite. Not a lot of soundproofing, so they need to be really, really quiet. No kids, no pets. I want $4,000 a month. It's like, I don't know what he ended up doing because everybody's just like laughing at him, right? It's like, oh hell no! If I'm paying $4,000 a month, it's because me and 3 or 4 or 5 roommates are moving in, right? That's too noisy. I wouldn't be doing that. Blah blah blah. I've seen similar arguments. This guy just kind of comes to mind because he'd already had a. Oh hey Linda, this guy had already had a really bad experience with really loud tenants with a bunch of kids. Blah 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 blah. But he's still. It's like, well, and people are like, blah, 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 you're an idiot. You want that much rent, you're an idiot. This is not fair, right? And the guy's like, it doesn't matter if it's fair or not. I can't afford my mortgage if I don't get this much for rent. I can't afford my mortgage if I don't get at least $4,000 a month for rent. But because of the horrible experiences that we've already had, letting larger groups of people come in, there's no way that we can continue to tolerate the noise level that comes with roommates and stuff. This guy was screwed. It's like, well, either buy yourself some headphones or get your house up for sale, because there's no way that you're going to get 1 or 2 people willing to pay that kind of money. Ooh, Linda was fixing supper. What did you get? What did you make? I don't know what I'm doing for dinner tonight. I think we have eggs. I have a feeling we're going to be... Oh, we got a ship tonight. I have a feeling we're going to be having McDinner. But... No, it's really unfortunate. It is really, really unfortunate. Like... And we're blaming all the wrong people. We're looking at all the wrong problems. I think that's part of the problem, because nobody wants to say, well, this is how I screwed up. You're not going to get a politician to say, well, this is how we screwed up. You're not going to get that to happen. Politicians up here are doubling down. No. This is why it's better. We didn't screw up. We didn't screw up. This is better for the country. I have dogs, and over here there are rules about how much land you have to have for them, and other rules. So the places I rent end up being more expensive because of it. Yeah. We've got 2 dogs. We'd be super screwed, because I'll tell you right now, we have had, I don't know where things are at, okay? But it is it's like epidemic proportions, where you cannot be discriminated against for having a pet. People move in, whatever, bring their dogs. Dog causes shit tons of damage. Like, I mean, it is such a huge problem that landlords do not want to rent to people with pets, period, end stop. Because there's okay, you're a renter, Trisha. You must have heard this. Like, there's always that shitbag who, with an untrained dog, they move out, and now that landlord, untrained dog, chews everything, howls all day long, causes all kinds of fucking problems, digs holes in the yard, and then that unit, as soon as they can get rid of those people, that landlord will never rent to a pet owner again. So a lot of landlords here, the minute they find out you have a pet, they're getting if they won't rent to you. They will not rent to you if you have a pet, and if you get a pet, it's amazing how abruptly they need to renovate. Oh, we're renovating that unit. You have to move out. Yeah, it's we have a huge problem with that here, and it's really bad. It is really bad. Just, yeah, you don't have to rent to people with animals over here. Yeah, that's the same. Well, they can't technically discriminate, but the thing is that we have such a housing shortage here. They do it all the time. Most places here say no pets. And you can't discriminate. Oh, okay, come and fill in an application. Okay, well, we've decided to go with one of the other 200 applicants. I mean, they can say, oh, we didn't realize, and then let you. It's just not, you're not going to get anywhere. You're not. I'm not sure quite. There's a few things I think they can say. I think you can have a no pet building, as long as nobody can have a pet. I don't know. Nobody wants pets. Nobody wants pets in their buildings, and the one that will let you in, the one that will rent to you, they want the fucking moon. And we have 2 dogs. And that alone, like, they're small dogs, but we also, hey, that snapped. What happened over there? Did it run out? Oh, it ran out. I need new thread on there. I cut it. What's going on? Sometimes. Which one are you? There we go. My thread ran out. I'm usually paying attention to that. But yeah, if we were ever in a situation where we had to move, we've got a couple of options. We'd probably the one building back here does allow pets, so we'd probably just end up in there. But a 2-bedroom in that building is like a little over double what we pay. So what's going on? Why are you sticking? La 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 la. And since I wasn't expecting that, I'm gonna run a piece of scrap. Not that scrap, that's the good stuff. That's the good stuff that I'm going to be super cheap about and cut up every last bit of it into something fun. There we go. Yeah, that's fine. Every now and again, when it runs out like that, you want to just double check and make sure that it hasn't like tangled itself up or done something when you weren't expecting it. Is that going to be okay? That's okay. La, la, la. Thankfully, it's right at the very edge, so I can just kind of ignore what's there and just start over. Because once I close the bag, it's going to be covered up. Yeah, people hear dogs and freak out. I'll tell you right now, I've talked to a lot of different. I'm on a bunch of community groups, and I've actually talked to people, and yeah, because I'll tell you right now, one untrained dog can easily make $50,000 or $60,000 worth of problems for a landlord to have to fix. Replacing doors, like there was one guy, and I don't know what the deal was, but the dog had like apparently scratched or chewed right through the drywall in the walls and everything. I think the guy was just a pig, and I think the guy blamed a lot of his stuff on the dogs, but there was pee and poop everywhere, and they had to dig down and replace floorboards and everything. It was so disgusting. It made the news. But it's funny. I have a dog. I'm not sure that I would want to rent to somebody who owns a dog. I'm not sure that, you don't want to take, I know how I take care of my dogs, but do you want to take the risk, right? And it's funny because when you ask a lot of people, it's like, well, if would you rent to that guy would you rent to a guy? Oh, sure I would. It's like, are you sure? Well, as long as he didn't cause any problems. Well, what if he did? Then what would you do? There we go. Sure that's trimmed up properly. That's fine. But anyway, I don't know. The whole economy. I mean, basically, I think that the really scary thing to me is it doesn't matter where you go. It used to be, back in 2008, nobody thought about the economy on a global scale. People thought about the economy as it related to their own area, to their own stuff. And now now everybody's like, well, I think the stuff that happened in the States really made people aware of just how much of a global economy we have now. So everybody is like, because like how could the U.S. housing crisis affect the Canadian economy? It's like, well, all these Americans that were previously investing in Canadian businesses need to recall their investments in order to cover their losses in their own country. So I think that's kind of, I don't know, it's new, right? This more globally minded awareness is very new for a lot of people. And I think I don't know if it's helping or not, but definitely makes me seriously wonder what the next recession is going to look like. Because there's going to be a recession. There always will be. Economies don't just. Economies don't just climb. You climb. You have 2 steps forward, 1 step back, right? But that's okay. I'm sewing shit. I'm supposed to be sewing shit today, not soapboxing about political. I could soapbox about all kinds of shit. That's my problem. Oh, speaking of shit, good shit. Speaking about how I'm supposed to be doing good shit, we got some of the watercolors back. The guys at Little Dark Arts who are doing the art for us have shared a few of the photos of their watercolors with us. Hey, Moira. Yeah, the guys over at Little, they shared some of the watercolors in progress because they wanted us to see. It's like, hey, here's where we're at so far. And yeah, it's starting to look really, that deck, Sassy Dragons, is starting to look amazing. I wonder. God knows this will get me off of the housing and politics. But don't worry. I like to rant too. I think the minute you start talking about housing and economy, I think everybody likes to rant. I just know that I will keep at it. I will keep at it and not come up for air given half the chance. Okay, let me see where where's my downloads? Is this gonna let me look at it from here? Is that gonna okay, let me see if I can do this properly. Present. Share screen. Window? That one. I did it right. How's that? How is that? That is my chariot. So underneath in the green space is where the scroll is going to be with the chariot and its description. So that is my chariot looking like a Hot Wheels. I think I'll have to double check. I think there's a small streamer. I think there's going to be a small streamer added. I can't remember what we agreed on. But yeah, so that is my that's my favorite. Yeah, I'm getting that chariot. As I'm going to get that chariot with the black and the white little flying dragon. I'm getting that as a tattoo. Looks like a bowl of gummy bears. Oh, it's my clips. It's my clips. I keep a shit ton of clips because depending on what I'm doing, I can end up be clipping 30 or 40 at a time. So that is the chariot. I am slow at this. Give me a second. Let me see if I can get one of the other ones. Oh, here's your snake. Here's a really. Did that switch for me? No. Let's see. I always think it's a bowl of lollies. Okay, is that going to let me? No, I got to do it all over again. Okay, let me see if I could take that one out. No, I don't want to do that. Stop that one. Go to this one. I don't know why. I don't know what I'm doing. There's got to be a better way to do this, but I'm doing it wrong. Window. Oh, that's why. Okay. Share that one. Is that one up there? Add stage. There, that's 10 of Cups. So that's me and Lisa, Bruno and Shayla, and the juice boxes. They are amazingly clever. Yeah, this is my lollies. Don't keep saying they're lollies because one, let's see what they taste like. Yeah, that is the 10 of Cups. So that is That, I mean, okay, you're not gonna, if you don't know, if, yeah, it's juice boxes. The cups are juice. The suit of cups is juice boxes, and you'll see that all through the suit of cups. So this is a good one, because if you know, you know, and if you don't know, it's not going to hurt you. You know, if you know that it's supposed to be Lisa and I and the dogs, then you're fine. If you don't know, I don't think it's going to take away from the card. But yeah, so there's that one. Okay, let me see. Let me see if I'm doing this right. Okay. Stop screen, present. Yeah, it's them. It's like, isn't that cute? Isn't that totally cute? Okay, here's the other one that they showed us. Are those the watercolor ones? Those are not the watercolor ones. But you guys will like this one too. Come on. There you go. So we've got the digitals. Okay. Window. Is that it? That's it. Yeah, clearly I'm the pink one. Yeah, absolutely. Did I do that one right? There's, and that's the moon. And I don't know now, I don't know if Lisa's gone through this yet, but a lot of symbology is still there. We've tried to include as much symbology as we can, so that way anybody who's actually not a noob can still use them too. I don't need that one. That's what I need. Like, okay, like the cups is the rainbow. There's the 10. The dogs playing in the background. I'm bad with the symbology. So let me see if I can grab one. But yeah, like even with the chariot, the one dragon is black, the other one is white. There's symbols. You'll see it better with the actual cards, but there's like a castle on each side. Where's the moon one? Where's the moon? I am not very good at this part here. Yeah, like the moon's got a two different kinds of little white dragons looking up, a little stream coming down the center. The two mountains on at the end, which is a representation of the two pillars that the other from a different card. Lisa will have to go over the symbology there, but we've tried to include as much. We've tried to include as much as we reasonably can without going completely crazy. So most of them have at least the main elements of symbology in the card. Let me see if I can grab another one. I don't know what else I've got. Oh, I've got this one. Come on, what am I doing? Okay, I'm just slow. Deal with it. Okay, stop sharing. Present. Share. My iPad crashed last week with my nearly finished Lenormand deck on it. Miraculously, the iPad is working again. I think it's a sign I need to finish the project. It's a sign you need to back everything up. I'm right. Okay, the guidebook is not. There's the Hermit. There's the guidebook is not. There's going to be a bit of a guidebook, but the guidebook is going to be like it's going to read right now, right this minute, unless something changes for us, because the meanings are going right on the cards. The meanings are going to be right there on the cards. Like the space, the bottom third is going to be scroll work with a regular meaning, and then my take on the meaning, which we figure so far is going to be very self-explanatory. Like, so what the guidebook is going to be kind of, there's not going to be a proper guidebook. There's going to be more like a pamphlet. I wanted the sassy version, but I know my nephew, who loves looking at all my material and getting readings, is going to go mental over this deck, so I'll be getting the non-sassy version. Yeah, I have it all on Dropbox and make playing cards, but need to figure out how to back up the working files. Yeah. Where does Lisa keep all of her files? Well, Lisa goes back and forth between her iPad and keeps a copy on her iCloud. She keeps it all on iCloud. That's where she does it. She keeps everything backed up on iCloud. And she also, I believe, she uses Procreate. I believe she uses Procreate because she's working with an artist. Obviously, she's not doing her own art. So as she gets the files, she's adding the numbers and other little tiny details. And she's also doing it for her book, her guidebook, for her everything. And yeah, she's so she keeps everything backed up. I think she's got it like in 3 different locations, but she does once a week. About once a week, she'll go through and make sure that all of her backups are up to date. Pardon me. But yeah, we had the same thing. It's like, we're not going to make that mistake. I forget who we heard from. Somebody said, make sure you back it all up, because I didn't. So yeah, we learned that. We learned from somebody else's mistake, but she keeps it all over the place. But yeah, so that's the hermit card. Like, carrying the staff, has the hood, carrying the lamp. The lamp is clearly showing that it's lit. It's going to have the I don't think I actually have it. It's going to have the it's going to have the meanings on it. Do I have them anywhere? Yeah, like for the high priestess, you already know the truth. Stop lying to yourself. The truth is within. Listen to your intuition, because we're gonna every single card. I think we've already explained this. Have we already gone over that? Like, every single card is going to have the kitschy thing and then an actual meaning underneath, just to make sure that they make sense. So, but yeah, that's what's going on. That's where we are yet. Ballpark is the Kickstarter goes up in October. Kickstarter goes up in October. Now that Sassy Dragons, now that Unicorn's Journey, basically there's a bit Unicorn's Journey has had a big learning curve, but now that it's been done once, it's like, well, it's not that bad now, if that makes sense. It's like, okay, well, now that she's done the thing, so ideally we will have the prototypes. Okay, this is basically what you do is you start with your big plan, and then hope you don't have to change too many things. Ideally, once the art is done, we send away for the prototypes right away, so that part's already done. With a little bit of luck, the prototypes show up around the same time as we're able to launch the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter, ideally, best case scenario, Kickstarter launches October. Ideally, beginning of October. But as long as it's in October, we're fine. If we already have the prototypes, then launch the Kickstarter. Wait that out. Spend the time during the Kickstarter organizing all the details. Organizing, double checking the prototypes, making sure that everything's the way that we want them. Getting all the waiting as the Kickstarter builds momentum, going from there with Pledge Manager, whatever Lisa's doing it all. Okay, so I'm like because Lisa's doing all that part. She's already doing it now, right? So it'll be nice and fresh. Ideally we do the ideally as long as everything else with Unicorn Journey goes according to schedule, then we will have we'll have this opening to do Sassy Dragon right away. Sassy Dragon happens in October. Everything's if we can stay ahead of schedule for everything at that time, because we're using some of the money from Unicorn Journey to get a head start on Sassy Dragon. So then, yeah, Sassy Dragon closes in October. Ideally, with a little bit of cross your fingers luck, within 2 or 3 weeks of that, we can hopefully be ready or almost ready to order the production run and have the decks starting to come, having the decks finishing up by end of January. But that's the big plan. That is the big plan, subject to a whole lot of changes, right? What do I want? I need that one, but I have another gray coming up. But do not quote me on that, though. I am not the poor sucker that has to sit down and do all that stuff. But if you're doing a deck, Moira, Lisa's always happy. Okay, this is the only gray I have in this tone, and I don't have enough for 3 bags. I want to do 3 bags. La 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 la. Where's my medium one? Oh, this will have to do. Okay, this is not the best match, but it will have to do. Not every match has to be perfect. Oh, yeah, they're the right. Yeah, Francesca's been amazing. Okay, I want a gray. It's a little darker than what I want it to be, but the color I really want is, I don't have enough. So I've got 3 bags I want to do with this same. It'll be fine. Okay. I used to do contrasting thread, so I can do contrasting thread today. I used to do only contrasting thread, and then I just realized that I like the end result better by having matching. But okay, what's going on? You're not supposed to be down there a second time. Never be afraid to just start over. My thread looped up and I couldn't, my thread looped up, but it's almost the same shade as the gray. So I couldn't really tell. I couldn't really tell where it was looping up. And it's like, I'm just going to trim it, start over. There we go. If anything weird happens, it makes you, go, oh my God, I hope nothing. Oh, I can do all 5 of these like that now. If anything weird happened, you're like, I don't know how that's going to work. I'll never be afraid to just grab a piece of scrap, do a few stitches, and make sure that you didn't just screw something up. There we go. There we go. But yeah. Francesca has been amazing for Unicorn Journey. And I'll tell you right now, the guys over at Little Dark Arts, their style perfectly matched what we were looking for. We were so, so amazing. So grateful that they were willing to work with us. So that's going to be awesome. Oh, and they are coming out with a deck. Oh my God, I am such an asshole. They are coming out with a deck. It's not a tarot. I believe it's an oracle. Yeah, they're coming out with an oracle that they are planning to launch for also October. They have a deck that they are launching in October as well. And it looks like it would go really cute with my deck, if that's something that matters to people. But it's let me see. I could spell arts. That would be fun. Oh, ARTZ. Let's see. Let us see. Well, that's not okay. What did I just do? There we go. Little dark arts. So they have the little cryptid oracle, right? Which is one that they already have. Oh, it's not there yet. Oh, come on. They told us we could talk about them. Let's see if that'll take me there. Ooh, I think I found it. They have little cryptid oracle. They have another deck coming out. Or is this a different channel? Oh, wait. There we go. No, it's oh my God, I am not very smart. It is a Lenormand deck, I believe they're putting out. Yeah. Okay. Let me see. I don't know very much about Lenormand. No, close that. Stop sharing that one. Nope, that's not what I want. La la la. Share screen with that. There we go. Is that right? Did I do it right? Yeah. So this is their Lenormand deck that they're doing. So it's all ghosties. This is on their Little Dark Arts. Let's see if I can get the come on. What did I do? Oh my God, I'm slow. I'm painfully slow. So this is their Instagram. That's their Instagram, which is what we're looking at here. So this is one of their yeah, so that's card number 30, the Lily. So that's what so they are doing a Lenormand deck. I am so bad for this stuff. I am. It's like why did anybody trust me why are y'all trusting me to make a tarot deck? So that is the Lenormand deck that they are putting out, and they are doing that also in October. So they've got little cryptids, and then they've got this one coming out, their Ghost Lenormand, and that is going to look super cute when it's done. I can't wait to see. I don't use Lenormand, so I can't wait to see it because I know Lisa's going to want it. I know Lisa's going to want it. It's like I feel like such a traitor. It's like there we go. I feel like such a traitor because it's like, oh, you guys are awesome. You guys are amazing. Oh, you guys are doing Lenormand deck. Yeah, I don't do Lenormand, but the art, and they showed us some of the other art when we were chit chatting because we've had a few meetings chit chatting online, that sort of thing, right? But yeah, if you go on their Instagram, you can see a whole bunch of their a whole bunch of the art they've got for it. I won't know which is which because if the card's not labeled, I can't read. If there's no label, there's no way I can read Lenormand when I can't even do that on regular tarot. But they're cute. They're totally adorable. Yeah, and they're just like little monsters. Some of them look kind of dragony, which is cool. But yeah, it's super cute deck that they're putting out. That's also coming out in October. So nice and complementary with that. But yeah, I'm like I said, I know Lisa's. Yeah, their Oracle, Lenormand, and Sassy Dragons will all go together. That's true. That is absolutely true. Their Oracle deck, the Oracle deck that they put out already, because it's the same art style, is going to look really good together with the Sassy Dragons. And their Lenormand, anybody who pairs Lenormand with anybody who pairs Lenormand with either is going to get a good deal there as well. Oh, you didn't? Did you miss me showing off the Sassy Dragons cards? Are you still sticking around for that? We got some of the watercolors back from the guys on the Sassy Dragon. It's kind of working out well, actually. It's time for me to start slowing down, so I can bring them up and show them again. Did you miss some, Moira? I'm like yabbering away, and it's like you know what? I know that there's a lag. God knows with Lisa being online as long as she's been online, and I've been doing this off and on for funsies for a while now. I know there's a lag. It's going to take time for me to ask a question and wait for a response. But no, I'm just going to keep talking anyway. Yeah, so we showed that. Babbled about some shit. Mentioned, oh yeah, and then the guys from Little Dark Arts are coming out with a Lenormand deck. So between their, which is still the same art style. That is their style. That is the style that they do. So that's kind of really cool. But yeah, so the watercolors are coming out. And people were asking about when. Trisha was asking. Trisha. Somebody else mentioned what the timeline looks like. If everything goes according to plan, Sassy Dragon is going to be hitting Kickstarter in October. If everything really goes to plan, we never jumped into paranormal stuff today. We just we bitched about the housing crisis, but hey, that's about it. No, I didn't do paranormal on Friday either because the heat wave broke. I was like, if I don't, that's why I've got such a huge pile of fabric to go through, because it's like I cut all my fabric from my bags, and then I have to iron everything. Yeah, watching it go from digital to watercolor. And I'll tell you right now, I'm already amazed by the digital. So now that it's coming to watercolor, it's like, yeah, this is awesome. This is absolutely awesome. But no, the heat wave broke. So we went from like 85 in the house. It was really hot. So once the weather got a little bit more friendly, it's like I better get my I need to get my fabric cut because I have to iron it all. Ironing's pretty quick, but when you're ironing like about 100 or so pieces of fabric of various fabrics, you just really don't want to do anything else. So it's like, get her done. And it's funny, I got it done. I don't mind the heat, to be honest. I got a fucked up knee, and cold is if my knee gets I can't really handle cold on my leg. And heat relaxes muscles, right? So I don't mind heat up to a certain point. But then once you get past my limit, it's like, okay, just leave me alone. I'm gonna lay over here and quietly die now. But I think it's because I got 2 screws in my knee. Oh, it's in the hundreds? Oh, yuck. That's gross. I don't know what it is now. We had a couple of areas in the interior that went above 40 degrees Celsius. I'm thinking that's close to 110, which for Canada is fucking insane. That's a lot. Let's just look it up. Oh yeah, it's the humidity. You know what we do? Yeah, we have an air conditioner. We have a portable air conditioner that the air conditioner's in Lisa's room, and then we just have a fan in her bedroom, pushing it down into the rest of the apartment. Yeah, the humidity is what kills me, like every time. But you know what? Let me just check. Yeah, 104. It was 100. It was 104, which for Canada is really hot because we're in northern country. But yeah, it's a dry desert heat. I don't mind dry heat. Dry heat doesn't bother me much at all. Yeah, so what we do is we plug in the air conditioner and we just set it to dehumidify. Once we can get that moisture out of the air, we're both a lot more comfortable. But I find that I like to, like, if it's like 80 outside, I'll set it to like 76 or 77 inside, get rid of the humidity, and suddenly the warmth is not that uncomfortable. And that way, when you're stepping outside, you don't feel like you're stepping into the surface of the sun. But dry heat and dry cold. Oh yeah. I'll tell you right now, like this spring was so bad because we had this wet cold. Oh, just sunk right in. I've got 2 screws in my knee. No, you know what? I was having the same issue with weather bothering me before I ever had my surgery. So I don't know that it's a big deal one way or the other. Oh, it's 20 to 5. I probably have to go soon. So these ones here are like just nice, so gray with little gold glitters. Yeah, I didn't even get through half of this, but I've been chit-chatting the whole time. And that's kind of what I wanted to do today. I wanted to, I'm definitely working. I guess I could go a little faster. I don't know. I definitely wanted to take my time. It's kind of basically when you got like with the tendonitis, there's a use it or lose it element, right? If you just sit there doing nothing, waiting for it to go away, it won't go away, right? Yeah, this winter is the only time I don't have the AC on. I'll tell you right now, like beginning of June, we were still running the heat. It was a cold spring here. And then like, boom, heat wave. Okay. Hook that shit up. Yeah, there's a certain use it or lose it, right? It's like when you're dealing with, because tendonitis is literally the tendon is just irritated. Okay. It's not that big of a deal, but if you just sit around waiting for it to go away, then your tendons just tighten up and it's like, yeah, fuck you. So I gotta get back to doing what I'm doing to get it back into condition again, build up that stamina again. But I cannot just sit there and power binge my way through it, or I would have some regrets. I don't know if it's weird weather for BC, honestly, because this isn't the first time we've had a really cold spring. It really isn't. We've also had springtime weather that's like super hot right from the get-go. Like we had weather breaking heat. Like heat dome after heat dome after heat dome. Was it 3 years ago? 4 years ago? It was fucking crazy just how hot it got. So we're coastal though as well. So we get ocean effect, which just keeps things a little cooler. We get the ocean effects, which keeps things a little cooler, but we also get El Nino and El Nina, both, which is the West Coast weather. You hear about that once in a while. So when it's an El Nino versus an El Nina, or when we're bleeding straight from, peaches did not do well this year because it just stayed too cold. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. Apparently, a lot of trees died because peaches are not a northern crop. So there's only a couple of areas in Canada where you can really grow peaches at all, and they are the Okanagan here, and then Leamington. Basically, there's an area in Ontario where they grow peaches, and then there's an area here that they grow peaches, but it's got it. Peaches are very Niagara peaches, right? Basically, peaches are very susceptible to cold, to too much cold, too much wet, too much this, too much that. But I will say that it's a regular cycle. I remember reading on the news, oh, blah, 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 this happened, and now 50% of the peach crop is gone this year. So it's a much riskier crop to grow in Canada. But yeah, we apparently had a bad spring, and a lot of peach trees just didn't make it. But it's also, like I said, peaches are a riskier crop up here because it's a southern crop. We are well outside of the safe zone for growing peaches in most areas of Canada. So they will plant new trees. They will be fine, or they won't. I don't know how that's going to go. But everything else is doing well. Oh my God, the strawberries out here this year. We got some fresh local strawberries out here, perfectly ripe. So ripe that if you don't eat them today, they're going to be starting to go bad by tomorrow. Perfectly ripe, like the size, like 10-bite peaches. It was like holding a small apple. That was awesome. Yeah, we get Okanagan fruit from the Okanagan, and we get peaches from there. But I don't know that peaches from the Okanagan. I don't know that peaches out here have ever been a huge crop. I don't know. But yeah, I remember peaches in Ontario. It's like I didn't know any better. It's like I didn't know any better. Then I'm taking like geography class, and they're saying, "Oh, blah blah blah, you can't grow peaches in Canada." And I'm like, "Mom, what's going on?" Right? Then I look it all up. Oh, we had shit weather in Ontario when strawberries are ripening. That can wreck a strawberry crop real quick. I used to pick strawberries. When you go into some of the smaller towns, they have a farm labor board, farm labor co-ops or whatever. And you go and you sign up. And, part-time jobs for kids over the summer, right? You go and you sign up, and then these strawberry farms and whatnot, they come in and they say, we need 20 people. So they call 20 people, and you get to go out picking strawberries for the day. And strawberry picking, corn detasseling, a whole bunch of shit. Did that every summer for quite a while growing up. I don't know if they still do much of that. I don't know how that works now. Used to be great opportunities for kids that were too young to really do much of anything else. You go, you get on a bus, you go out, you pick strawberries for the day. They give you a bucket of them. They don't give you a lot, but when you're a kid and you have no other opportunity to make money, $30 or $40 a week is a lot of money. Okay, what's going on there? 2 seconds. Oh, there's the wife.
Oh, there's the wife. Are you still live? Hello. Hello, Internet.
Wife says hi.
Wife says hi.
I suppose that's my hint that I got to go in a minute.
Eventually.
Had a peach farm down the street. Yeah, what we had was really cool. We had, there was a whole neighborhood, and there was this empty field. Basically, there was an abandoned, Moira says, hello, wife. There was an abandoned apple orchard that had been basically turned into a residential neighborhood. Only this is back in the day so basically this abandoned apple orchard had been broken up into lots, and a bunch of the lots were sold for houses, but a bunch of the lots just kind of sat there forever. So you go down the street, you turn the corner, and there's this field. There's this big community field, apples everywhere, apple trees, just as far as, when you were a kid, right? So we used to go out there and just go crazy picking all the apples. Mind you, yeah. No, you know what? It wasn't. Basically what they had done, the area used to be an apple orchard. Obviously the farmer sold his apple orchard to somebody. So there was no farmhouse or any of that stuff. That stuff was all gone, but there was still rows of trees here and there. So whenever you had those, whenever you like back in the day in Smallville, they might this section here might be turned into a bunch of houses, but this section here is going to stay empty for 20 years. So the farmhouse and the barns, they weren't there anymore. but there was 2 or 3 sections where there was like 30 or 40 apple trees. So we used to go down there and pick apples. I cut the thread. I got one more to go. Jesus. That's okay. I'm gonna leave it there as a stitch leader though, so I have it. But yeah, there was an empty field near us that we would go to and get wild strawberries every spring. Just the place was just full. Yeah, Wizard of Oz. Yeah, like that, right? Only without the creepiness. I think there had been a pear orchard as well, because there were several properties that had really massive pear trees with really amazing Bartlett pears on them. Not Bartlett, which ones are the green ones? No, Bosc is the brown pear, Bartlett pears. So we would go pick pears when they were ripe. We would go over to the orchard and get apples when they were ripe. This one field nearby was just full of wild strawberries, so we would go get them when they were ripe. It's kind of fun. Kind of a fun way to grow up in Smallville. It really is. Growing up in Smallville is fine until you hit a certain age, and then there's just nothing there for you anymore. So that's just the way the world goes, I guess. I would love to win the lottery, because God knows that's the only way I'm getting enough money. Win the lottery and then find a property where there's been a few apple trees, a few pear trees, a few of this, a few of that. Then again, out here in BC, that means you're going to have coyotes and bears and all sorts of shit in your backyard if you're not careful. But hey, that's a risk worth taking, I guess. It's funny. I love the idea of homesteading and shit like that. I really do. It's like, being self-sufficient. If you've ever had your own little garden, if you've ever had your own garden and stuff like that, you've just never lived until you've like wandered outside, picked a fresh whatever straight from the vine, eat it. So, but not full-blown homesteading though. I want some sort of homesteading light where I can enjoy the benefits of that without the hard work, because that's a lot of fucking work to go into that type of lifestyle. I want the advantages of that lifestyle. Like maybe have the property, have all the stuff, and then have staff. Hire a bunch of guys. Come here. I'll give you a free room and board. You just make sure that all those fruits and vegetables are taken care of, and make sure the trees are maintained. I don't know. It's kind of that thing. It's like yeah, there's a lot of advantages to be found in that type of a lifestyle, but it's fucking hard work. Insanely hard work. Well, I guess it depends. If I was 20, I probably wouldn't think it was hard work at all. It's like, whatever, I'm young, I can handle hard work. Now I'm like turning 60 this year going, what do you mean I have to get off the couch? I don't want to do that. The hell? A friend of mine did that. They finally worked their way to retirement, sold everything, and went off homesteading. Not sure that it was the best idea, but they loved it. At least I think they did. Fell out of touch though, of course, because they had to move. In order to make that work, in order to make that work in a way that you can afford, you're not sticking around in a neighborhood like this, right? So we fell out of touch. I can still look her up on. Yeah, we moved to a small town from Ottawa a couple years ago. Now I'm a garden fanatic, sowing seeds. Love the hard work in the garden. Up at 5 a.m. every day. I don't know what I would do. My biggest problem is that I got a fucked up leg. So I'm like, I blah blah blah, because I've had gardens. It's only been since moving here that I stopped gardening. But I can only do so much because my leg can't handle it. I can't kneel for any extended period of time. So it's like, okay. Yeah, I'd love the homesteading life if I had a bunch of guys do all the work. I found once I started finding tools and gadgets, I would be all about that's my problem, is that I would be all about my tools and gadgets, which makes that life a lot more expensive than just going in. But yeah, I told Lisa a long time ago, if I'm going to grow it, I want to be able to eat it. A few indoor plants is fine, but if I'm going to grow something, Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'll tell you that right now. If I get the opportunity to do that, the first thing I'm doing is raised garden beds. That would be the first thing. Everything would be raised up. There's no way. There's no way. But yeah, my friends did that. They got enough money to retire. They took advantage of the high housing prices, got themselves a property, started doing all sorts of shit out there. I should look them up. I mean, we never fell out of touch for a reason, just time and distance. So I should look them up, see how they're doing. Say hello. Hey, how you doing? How's that homesteading life working out for you? But anyway, I am going to finish this little bit here, and I'm probably gonna. I think what I'm gonna do. Why is that catching? I think I'm gonna I'm gonna say my goodbyes because I know I've only got about 30 seconds. I did the Alaska Grow Bucket system. I love my Alaska Grow Buckets. I was farming with my Alaska Grow Buckets. We don't have any useful sunlight coming in here. Moving here meant giving that up. I will say though, moving here meant giving that up, but the fact that we are perpetually shaded here means I never have to worry about the sun bleaching out and ruining my fabrics. If I had a super sunny, I turn most of the garden into flowers and trees. No, I'd be like vegetables. If I can't eat it, vegetables, berry bushes, whatever. But no, Alaska Grow Buckets were awesome. They are great. Basically, what our next place is probably also going to be a condo, and I want at least some balcony space that's facing a nice sunny patch, so that I can put in I want to do basically you can do container gardening, and and also add a watering system to it. I want to do that. Oh, a small food, yeah. I will say that when it's just once it was just Lisa and I didn't want or need nearly as much space. I never was able to garden beyond the gardening for fun. I never learned how to do canning properly, so if it can't go in the freezer, I wasn't doing anything with it. But I used to have a tomato sauce garden, constantly growing tomatoes, making big batches of tomato sauce, and then just loading the freezer with it. That was awesome. Anyway, I guess I'm going to finish these. I'm going to finish these, and then I'm going to say goodbye, and then I'm going to go greet the wife. Once I'm doing like a set like this, because that's all my grays. Once I'm done, once I finish with a set, I like to make sure I have the set fully finished before I walk away. Last thing you want to do is go, oh, I'll come back to this later, end up turning your machine off and forget what setting and thing you have. Problem with tons of tomatoes is tons of pasta. Yeah, that's true. Come on, you can use tomatoes is also a good base for chilies and stuff. And if you have tons of tomatoes and tons of tomato paste and tomato sauce, then marinating things in tomato and other tomato-based foods that don't involve pasta become a little less problematic. But yeah, I used to eat a lot of pasta. Used to keep all the 1 pound margarine tubs, right? 30 or 40 of them into the freezer every year. We did tomatoes the one year. My friend and I, we were sharing a place. We went in the back. We turned the backyard into a tomato garden, and for some reason, and this is apparently rare. Yeah, pizza. Oh yeah, pizza. But we processed out all of our tomatoes, and her mother was helping us that year, so we jarred everything, and half of the tomato separated into oil, and her mother went fucking crazy. It's like, do you know how hard it is to get tomato oil? And she was like willing. We told her to just take it. We just told her anything that separates to oil, you just take it. But she was willing to pay us because tomato oil for cooking and stuff like that is actually really hard to make and hard to come by. So that was fun. That was the fun little mini claim to fame that we had. But No, I don't know what I would do at this point if I had the opportunity. I'd still want to be growing foods and stuff like that because that's just who I am. But unless, well, and the funny thing is, like, oh, you know that, if I had $1 million, that song, right? And it's like we're just kind of like, that song comes on the radio right now, and we just giggle. It's like, so what? So what if you did? But anyway, yeah, I would love to do something like that. But I will tell you right now, there's no way. I would love to do it because it's a great idea, but I'd probably hate every minute of it now. Like, no, I'm too old for this shit. Forget it. Forget it. I have to look up Sandy and Norm now, see how they're doing. Okay. I'm gonna go check out of here and go check in on the wife and see what she's up to and see what we're doing. Yeah, it wouldn't last long. Yeah, time is a very valuable commodity. Even when you're just sitting on your ass doing nothing, it's like it's really easy to just go. Oh, wait a second, I meant to be doing this with my day and I didn't. Right? It's so easy. But anyway, I'm gonna get going. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for keeping me on pace for a slow, relaxed day, so I could use it but not lose it and not fuck up myself. Anyway, have a good one, guys. I will see you on the next one. Bye. Oh, I gotta click that button. There we go.